We're doing Sub CLE. It's the place where rock meets country. We're doing the Sub CLE. We're doing it for you, and we're doing it for them, and we're doing it for everyone who isn't even a friend.
All right, here we are with another Sub CLE. We have Robert C. Stevens with us this fine day. And yeah, here he is.
Hey everyone out there in goofy, wacky podcast world.
Right.
Let's podcast it up, kids.
And so, Rob, why are you here? What is
that's a good question, Vincent. I've always been wondering why I'm here. And do you mean here as in general, or here in your house while you were trying to provide booze and naked photos of men to me?
Yeah, I you always got to shop it around just in case you. But I was thinking that you had some kind of presence in the Cleveland scene. I don't know.
Christmas presents, all that. Hanukkah, I don't, Kwanzaa, I don't really deter from any sort of modern day religion as long as it has to do with spirituality.
Well, that's true. I mean,
that's why I started a cult with some friends of mine called 100,000 Leagues Under My Nutsack.
Okay, so that's a cult.
Well, it's more like a play group of people that mildly exist. And you've probably seen the stickers around the city, and you
can see them in this room.
They're everywhere.
I don't know where that's at.
People have put them in very strange places, from the White House to inside people.
Really?
Yes.
So what about the White House? Where, how do you know that?
Well, a long time ago when I was working with this band, Filter, we were in Washington, D.C., and I met the head of the Secret Service. Okay. And I gave him some stickers, and he was like, "This is the coolest thing ever. I'm going to put this in the roof of the White House." And I was like, "Yeah." And he gave me.
Did you confirm that?
I've got some. I think it's confirmed because the guy was so psyched that he gave me a presidential pin.
Okay.
Which was pretty interesting.
Nice.
And he was like, every time you see the president, they're going to be wearing this American flag ceramic pin.
Oh. Wow.
And it's probably one of the coolest things that I've ever been given.
That's cool.
Other than, bad advice.
So that being said, as far as trusting the government, does that make you kind of see that, hey, maybe they got something going on there?
Vince, everyone trusts the government.
Right?
Isn't the government made for trust?
I believe so. If you fly in an American flag on the back of your pickup truck, I would imagine you're doing the right thing.
Or a Cleveland Browns flag.
So the 100,000 Leagues Under My Nutsack, I mean, because that shit is all, I met you recently, but I have seen that sticker since I was a child.
That was on Grindr.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Yeah. Well, I didn't know if we were talking about that.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. We're not supposed to mention that. I'm sorry.
I like girls.
Dressed up as men, just admit it.
Okay.
And men dressed up as girls. It's okay. It's modern times. Anybody can like anything like that nowadays.
I think if it's convincing enough, if it's convincing enough, and then I find a penis when an intimate time comes up, I'm thinking, all right, well, at least it's convincing.
As long as it doesn't hit your lip,
right?
Because then you're like, oh, what just happened? Is that legal?
I don't know. How far does that go?
I think everything's legal if you're open to it and you're accepting of it. Then that's why people use dental floss or toothpaste or brush their teeth.
Right.
Because then the halitosis isn't exactly as pronounced as if it would be without using those tools. I think we're tangenting off too far already.
I think
let's get back to business.
Okay. So, 100,000 Leagues Under My Nutsack. First of all, where did that name come up?
That's a really good question, Vincent. Yeah. We started in 1994 when a guy named Bill Gill, who's from Shaker Heights, and we moved into 9403 Clifton. And 9403 Clifton was like a it was just so close to downtown and the west side and the east side that you could just get anywhere really quickly. It's just, and living there, all of my friends would come there and hang out, and we would get plastered. We would drink, 30 packs of Busch and smoke weed and just write wacky songs.
Right.
So we started doing that, and we were having so much fun. They were like, Rob, get your tape recorder out and let's record these. So like the first album was recorded on like a Zenith tape recorder, like the little boxy ones.
Yeah.
And we would
What year are we talking?
94.
Yeah, you said, okay.
So we would just sit around and just get plastered and jam out, and everyone would pass the guitar around, and we would just sit there and start saying really, really disturbing, weird things.
Right.
And I had at one point I had 100 tapes with 500 songs, partial songs on them. And I had to take all those and go through every single one of them, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of music.
Right.
And go through all these shitty tapes and pick out I think I picked out 40 songs or something.
Right.
And made that, and edited it down and put little things in between each song, and made that the first record, which was called Whispers.
Okay.
From the Apocalyptic Demon Factory.
I like how you're whispers from that. Yeah.
Right. Well, because I'm like, sometimes it's a mouthful to say these things. But so that became the first record, and it was basically an acoustic unplugged record.
Okay.
And the Sunny Trolls of Belgium, that's one of the all-time hits. Chinese Water Torture for Fun. Chicken Shacks of Arkansas. And the subject matters are just, I explain to you, it's the group of people that were there, and they were all, deep-rooted Cleveland musicians and artists. Chris Smith from Asphalt and Keel Hall and numerous other bands. Scott Silverman, who lives in Belgium now. Mark Konopka, who was the drummer for Outface, Asphalt, Integrity, also Nutsack, and Bill Gill, who's always been around, and from being in his bands to just jamming out with us also. Amazing lyricist, one of the best lyricists in the history of lyricisms.
Nice.
Is that even a word?
I think it is now.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's all those people, and when you add enough weed and beer and booze, the way the mind works, it just goes off into a different dimension.
Right.
And it was interesting because it wasn't my idea. It was this guy. It was Dr. Max Arborezium and Dr. Sandor Nimbus. Mm-hmm. They were these figureheads that we had to deal with, who were we're the overlords of music, and we were like, sure you are, buddy.
Yeah.
And
where did you meet these guys at?
We met them at a Euclid Tavern.
Oh, okay.
They were like whatever you guys are doing, it's not good. Because we're just our sense of humor is kind of a little bit sarcastic and twisted and freakish. Mm-hmm. And we enjoy kind of the dark side of music, roses are red and violets are blue. I'll choke you out while I'm drinking your poo or whatever,
Right.
Just in that kind of childish, kind of bass root humor. But then we started getting more serious over time as I got more involved in the recording process.
Okay.
And
you were just using that little zine? No, you had advanced by this point, right?
I still have all the tapes. I have literally so getting back to the name.
Yeah.
There was all the tapes had a different name. It'd be alien butt sex creature. Or we would just name it whatever people would say what are we naming the tape tonight? And they'd be one-eyed snorbler with a snipper tip, and I would write that on the case of the tape, and so these two tapes were sitting next to each other, and it was it said 100,000 Leagues Deep,
okay,
and then the other one said Fat Ass Nutsack, and they were literally sitting next to each other with all these other tapes, and I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, it's 100,000 leagues under my nutsack.
Nice.
And it's weird because I don't usually. First of all, no one cares to even ask me questions like that because I try not to let people know who I am. even though I have these stickers.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's definitely a weird thing, especially being 50 years old, and people are like, "So you're in a band, I heard." And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "So what's it called? Can I look it up online?"
Right.
It's called 100,000 Leagues Under My Nutsack. They're like, "Come on, buddy, that's not real." And I'm like, "Oh, it's real. It's real." Annoying.
So there was this thing about you managing at 14 years old.
I started working with bands. All my friends, it was actually earlier than that.
So you've been working with bands, and you kind of knew the thing, and then you started getting your own thing, kind of thing.
Right. Well, I've been around it my whole life. This kid that I grew up with in Shaker, his name was David Araka, and he was like him and Donald Swan and Scott Aiken. When we were in like third grade, they formed a band. So they're like, "We're going to be in a band in third grade," and I was like, "Totally." I was like, "I'll be your manager," and they were like, "Totally, Rob, you're the manager." So I kind of like have been around it my whole life, and all my friends just kept getting more talented and more more known. There wasn't 12 billion bands in Cleveland back then.
Right.
It's not like it is today, where there's like, I have friends who are like, "I'm in 7 bands," right. And I'm like, "Sweet!" Like, are any of them good?
Right.
But that's the thing, is that it's not like I went after this. Like, I still went to college. My dad was like, "If you want to do this, do it, but you still have to go to college and graduate school."
Okay.
And I was like, "All right." I was like, "I get it." So I did that with bands in college and graduate school. I would help them out also. And while I was helping them out, my other friends' bands at the time, Outface, which was Derek Green, who's the lead singer of Sepultura, Charlie Garriga, who's been in a billion bands from Civ to Judge. He's a sick guitar player. And then Frank Kavanaugh, who was the bass player of Outface, became the bass player of Filter.
Mm-hmm. We had Frank on here.
Yeah, and then Mark Konopka, the drummer from Outface, obviously got married and had some kids and had a real job, but still plays drums and does drums with the Nutsack.
Okay.
So like it's kind of interesting how wide and diverse and how much success is in this small group of people. It wasn't there was maybe like, if you were playing in a band in the 80s, you knew every single other person that was playing in a band because you did shows together.
Sure.
And and then there's always people like me who are like on the sidelines, like I'm the guy. I'll take care of everything. We're gonna get everything taken care of. And that doesn't always usually work out the right way, but
So, and that's how you were like managing the bands at this,
whatever. Like working on merch, getting the word out, like posting flyers for shows.
Sure.
Because we would staple flyers to telephone poles back in the day.
Right.
Like it wasn't like you can zip, it goes to 20,000 people. You had to like be out there like, "Put this flyer at the coffee shop. Like, don't tell anybody."
On Instagram,
that didn't exist. We had phones attached to walls, bro.
So no,
they didn't have Bluetooth dildos back then, bro.
That's a thing? I didn't know that.
What? I thought being on Grindr, you would know these things.
I mean, I told you we're not supposed to talk about it.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
So
I went to college and graduate school for international business, marketing, and philosophy. So when I got out, I started selling steel, but then that was right at the time when Frank got in Filter, and they started like being, MTV was popping then.
Yeah.
So Rich was like, "Rob," like I was Rich Patrick, who was the lead singer of Filter. He was from Rocky River. He was in 9 Inch Nails.
Okay.
He was like, "Just come on the road with us, and you can do video for MTV." And I was like, "All right, cool." So I'm on tour with Filter, shooting video for MTV that's going directly to, like, they're like using my footage for Filter things on MTV News and things of that nature.
Nice.
Where I'm sitting there watching my edits, like that's my style right there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't want to get into semantics about how all of a sudden MTV style changed, but that's a whole nother podcast.
Well, you're a trendsetter in many ways. I'll tell you.
Did you just call me transgender?
No. What did I say?
You said transcending Mother Nature?
Transcending. Anyway, I think you are a trendsetter.
Oh. Is that what they call an Irish setter? Did you hear that awkward silence?
No.
I did. We're gonna have to work on that.
Okay.
Well, so that's how basically I got into all the things that I've done. So I mean, I've worked on videos, like major videos with huge budgets. I've consulted. I've done managerial consulting. I've done product development. I invented a thing with a buddy of mine, Aaron Boron, who recently just passed away. He's basically the most prolific songwriter in the history of Cleveland music. He was in a band called the DeValby Brothers. And if you ever get a chance to go online and check out this guy's catalog, you'll realize that you've missed out on one of the greatest creatures that exists in the history of Cleveland music.
No, I agree. I've seen them. They're really good. Yeah.
But that's how it works. I mean, you start doing stuff and then you keep growing. And Aaron Bourne and I in 2000 we invented this thing called the Indestructistrap guitar strap system, and it was basically a NASA approved military issue medically perfect guitar strap that basically lasts forever.
Okay.
And having that and having and showing people, I got access to thousands and thousands and thousands of musicians and artists.
Okay.
So already knowing a lot of people because I had been on the road with Filter who are in the industry.
Now, I have a question. So with these stickers and everything, because obviously you knew that. I mean, because I don't think you're going to find somebody that's into like the music scene in Cleveland that doesn't know the sticker of 100,000 Leagues.
Well, they're not into the band. Music.
Yeah, they might not know the band, but they might know the sticker. And is like all this where you kind of got that from? Just that promotion, just mass promotion kind of thing? Kind of.
I mean, you want to do things right, and you want to do it right the first time. Like, okay. When somebody makes a T-shirt, they're like, "Here's a T-shirt for my band." I go, "Where's the band name?" And they're like, "We didn't do that." And I was like, "Well, then no one's going to know who your band is."
Right.
And they're like, "Oh." But this guy's face, people are like, "Who's that guy? Who is that?" His name is Merton.
Yeah.
His name is Merton Ward Goodrich.
Okay.
And he went to prison in 1938 for murder. And I found a picture of him at a place called Sweet Lorraine.
Okay.
This was in 94. So it was just a picture of a guy, and I was like, oh, and I had done that lettering myself. And I was like, I'll just invent my own lettering style that's stupid. But obviously the 10 is too small because people are like, 10,000 leagues under my nutsack.
Right.
I love 10,000 leagues.
I think
I'm like,
said
it's
that
100.
too.
I've said, I can't tell you how many times I've been like, it's 100,000. It's way deeper than that.
Is the movie 10,000 Leagues? Because I don't know why.
It's actually 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
20.
Right.
Yeah,
so people get that mixed up with 10,000.
Right.
They can't read. They don't know how to read. It's a long story. Like, do you know? Are you dyslexic with numbers?
Right.
But actually, the interesting thing about our stickers, which nobody really knows, is that we actually put a thin layer of magic in between the sticky material and the actual substrate. So not only are we doing a form of witchcraft with our stickers, we also blast different types of music into the sticker as it's being made.
Wow.
So like this sticker that that's right there, I can tell by looking at it that sticker was made while Slayer was playing.
Oh.
Just because of the way he looks at me.
Oh, okay. And you can hear the resonance of the music?
No, I'm not weird, dude. Can you hear it? Maybe you need help, bro. Have you done this before?
I don't know. I just thought I was.
But it's a unique thing about our stickers. It just makes our things a little bit more better than another sticker.
Okay. Nice.
We don't just make stickers.
No?
We make the people that make the stickers make stickers more sticky.
Wow. Well, yeah.
Think about it. Think about it this way. Do you like Willy Wonka?
I mean, I
what
think
if you had to be around
kids a lesson.
What if you had to be around 6 of them all the time? 6 Willy Wonkas all the time.
Yeah, right.
That's what I have to deal with.
You have to outshine. You gotta
pretty much
rise above.
I kind of like not shining.
Mm.
I'm like a dull, like battered, rusty pan that's just been in the fire too long, and you can still cook with it though.
I was gonna say somebody's banging on it pretty loud though.
mostly large women.
So you got this 100,000 Leagues Under My Nutsack thing. You know the guys from Outfish. You do the whole Cleveland scene, and then what? You decided to go out west.
Well, what happened was, that's interesting. So after we started doing the first album, I decided to talk to some of my friends and be like, hey man, I really like that one song you guys do. Can I grab that and put some vocals on it and kind of produce it a little bit more, make it a little bit more produced? Because back in the day, there's kind of a lo-fi vibe when it comes to recording in Cleveland, and people don't want to get too much into production. They want it to be realistic. So if you go see the band, you're going to hear what the band sounds like.
Or just purpose?
People have different ideas of what they want to sound like in a live setting. Transferring live music to a recorded substrate doesn't always work out the right way. And I've learned that, producing music for 30 plus years.
Right.
Unless you turn up the stereo as loud as it can go. I mean, live music is the best thing that you could ever do and go see. Listening to earbuds and I'm going to listen to Slayer on earbuds. It's not the same as being in the pit at Slayer and having Rain and Blood going off. It just doesn't translate to me. So I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Well, I asked you because you did the whole Cleveland thing. You were doing the 100,000 Leagues, and then you decided to go out west.
Right, but I went out west after we finished the second record.
Right.
So the second record was called Random Debris of Cosmic Truth and Deception.
Did we say the first record?
Whispers from the Apocalyptic Demon Factory.
Okay, and then the second record is?
Random Debris of Cosmic Truth and Deception.
Okay.
So those two works were put into a single CD. So it was a double CD in a single CD case.
Okay.
And then that was called Welcome to the Fold, which ended after I did that record and Rich Patrick heard it. He was like, dude, I want a song called Welcome to the Fold. And I was like, that's the name of my record. And he's like, I can name my song Star Wars if I want. Don't you understand? And I was like, oh, Jesus. So he actually,
I mean, his father's T-2000. So
that's his brother.
Robert his brother?
Right. And Robert Patrick's best friend was Ray Liotta, who just passed away.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And when I was at his house one time, Filter had to sign a whole bunch of guitars, and we went to Robert Patrick's house, and I was like, who's your best friend? Who do you hang out with? And he was like, Ray Liotta. And I was like, come on. And he was like, no, he's my best friend. And I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. And he's like, you think so? I go, yeah. I was like, I want to be best friends with Ray Liotta. Right. But that guy's a talented actor, and So, to make a long story short, the record was called Welcome to the Fold. It had both albums in it.
Okay.
With a whole art booklet done with everything done by this guy named Magnus Da Vinci.
Okay.
Who is a pseudonym for a famous Cleveland artist, and I don't want to go in. He likes using Magnus Da Vinci, but I didn't. Okay if I could say his name. So let's keep that a secret for now. Okay. But it had a whole bunch of art from a whole bunch of different artists that are famous tattoo artists and comic book artists. So I reached out to a whole bunch of people like, hey, I'm putting this body of work together, and I'd like to use this piece for it. And Benoit, who's a famous tattoo artist in Chicago, he made an actual remote-controlled carp skin, because that remote-controlled carp skin is one of the songs on the first record, and he actually drew a picture of a remote-controlled carp skin, and I was like, what is that? He's like, it's a remote-controlled carp skin, and I was like,
I guess it's like carp, like
The fish.
Fish? Like just the skin?
Right.
Okay.
Could you imagine what it would be like to be born without skin?
But this is only skin.
Do you know how much skin you have on your body?
I guess it's the largest organ in the body. I know.
Yeah, but do you know how much? I'm going to blow your mind right now.
Okay.
12 to 16% of your total body weight is just your skin.
Wow.
Right. So think about how much you weigh.
Okay.
And then, say get right in the middle of, do 10% of that.
Right.
And then add another quarter or third of that to that. That's how much your skin weighs.
Okay.
Like I have 31 pounds of skin. And that's just my balls.
Well, I mean, the gravity of your balls must be a lot because it's 100,000 league. No, that doesn't make sense.
Listen, for this podcast, not only does it make sense, it makes dollars. But that's it. I don't know how we got to skin, but I always like telling people that I was born without skin.
Okay.
I think it's a good icebreaker for chicks when they're like, "Ew, gross! You were born without skin. What does that mean?"
Right.
But then again, there's a lot of things I say. Like after a couple beers, and I literally I've been punched in the face by chicks, by their boyfriends.
Right.
Like I have pushed the limit on what you can say to people without getting completely murdered. I mean, that's why some people obviously don't like me. Not everyone's a super fan. I would say there's probably 0.03% people that are probably I don't like that guy.
Well, you have a strong personality, and I think
I thought it was my breath.
Well.
Hi.
So we were talking about you moving out west.
Right.
Okay.
So I didn't really move out west. I just started going out there all the time.
Okay.
And that's a common misperception people have. They're like, do you live out here? And I'm like, no. They're like, wait, you live in Cleveland and you're out here all the time? They're like, how can you do that? And I was like, because in Cleveland, my rent's $200 a month.
Right.
And yours is $2,000. And they're like,
okay,
I don't understand. But you got it. You can't be in Cleveland and get super lucky. I mean, there's a handful of people that have been able to do it. And the most recent is MGK, who's hitting it hard and hitting it big. And playing the stadium.
Well, he's with Megan Fox, too. I mean,
Yeah, but come on.
I know.
He can do better.
That. Oh, yeah?
No, she doesn't do it for me.
What's better?
Michael Jackson, Kevin Bacon, Billy Bob Thornton.
Okay.
Wang Chung, Milli Vanilli.
Mm-hmm. I guess this is why I met you on Grindr.
I thought Grindr was like a spice service. Like, go to Grindr.com. I was like, oh, yeah. My buddy was like, spices. They have all the best spices, Rob. And I was like, my other friend did that to me in Chicago. He was like, meet me at the El Gato Negro. And I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, oh, this is a cool bar. And I was like, man, those chicks are kind of weird looking. It was like a Brazilian transgender bar. And they were like, I was like, dude, you sent me to a tranny bar? Really? And
it's funny because those are the only two words I know in Spanish. I know it means black cat.
I know mis huevos es muy pequito.
I don't know what that means.
It means my balls are very small.
Oh, wow.
Right.
See, that's good to know.
This is like an educational thing.
It is.
So you're not only learning, but you're learning with flair.
Right.
As far as we know.
So what happened with 9 Inch Nails management out in the West Coast?
Filter was with 3 a.m. and I can't really get into the semantics of what I know about that whole thing because the previous manager for 9 Inch Nails is a very close friend of mine, and he does not really like to talk or have people talk about his business.
Okay.
There are some discrepancies. All I can say is that there are some discrepancies. And some people got sued, and some people had to relinquish some funds. That's probably as far as I can go with that kind of information. But then I was talking to John. He's literally he said something to me that was one of the most kindest, coolest things that anyone's ever said to me in my entire life, and I almost cried. I was like, "Don't do this to me, man." he was like, Rob, I want to tell you something. And I was like, what? He goes, David Bowie became one of my best friends ever. And I was like, sweet. I was like, he's like, we would eat lunch every day and dinner and, talk about weird stuff. And I was like, I just want you to know he would love you. He goes, I would introduce, if he was still alive, I would totally introduce you to David Bowie and you guys would become best friends. And I was like, don't do this to me. I was like, David Bowie's my best friend?
Yeah.
Because, you don't think that something like that's ever going to happen. I mean, I know a fucking shit ton of people.
Did you meet David Bowie?
No.
Oh.
But I wish I did.
Okay. No.
I mean, there's a lot of people I haven't met, but I've met the majority of some of the most famous artists on the planet. Like in passing one way or another.
Sure.
It's weird. When you're out in LA and you're where those people live, they're there. So you're going to run into somebody, Mm-hmm. And also the NAMM convention, which was just this last weekend in Anaheim. I didn't go because it was kind of a watered down version this year, and I've been to 30 of them, so I'm kind of like okay.
Right.
But it's not really open to the public, and you'll be like, oh, there's the guys from Iron Maiden, just everyone just walking around looking at products. Like I've met people that I'd never in a billion years thought I would meet, like Keith Urban.
Right.
Like, here, dude, put this on your guitar case. Like, this is sweet. I'm going to put it on my guitar case.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
But, I mean, whether they do or not, like, I know Neil Young has one on his guitar case.
That's sweet.
My buddy, Sox, was working for him back in the day. And he's like, hey, do you want to meet Neil Young? And I was like, come on, dude.
Well, what's interesting, and I'm riding off of somebody else's coattails here, but right down the street, walking distance, is Dr. Z Amps.
Right. So,
and it's every time I see that, I'm like, oh, that's like right here.
Dr. Z is a solid product. It's a little bit pricey.
Yeah.
But it's a boutique hand-wired amp.
Right.
And the tone is, if I was going to spend the money, I'm just going to be honest about this, but if I was going to spend that kind of money, I would probably go with Magnatone.
Yeah.
Just because I know the people that manufacture that product and I know the quality of the product. But Z is also Z amps are definitely a quality product.
Yeah.
And even their resale value is
I know. Yeah.
You're not when you invest in a product like that, you're not getting rid of it. First of all,
right.
Like when I see people selling them, I'm like, what's this guy think he's doing? He's going to get rid of this? Why are you selling that? You already have the best thing. Like, oh, it's not working out for you.
Right.
It's like people who are like, I'm going to play guitar. I'm going to buy a $12,000 amp, and then they're like, I don't even like guitar.
Right.
But those are those people.
Yeah. So tell me about Stevie Nicks.
I forgot about that. One time I was at the NAMM convention in Anaheim, and I actually met this guy. My buddy was Steve Dockraden, who I used to help with the artist relations for St. Louis Music, which is a conglomerate in St. Louis that owns like 7 companies. He was the head of artist relations, and I would occasionally help him out with different projects that he was working on. And so I've met a billion people in the music industry.
Right.
Like whether they're a tech to like
sure.
producers, engineers.
I'm sure once you get into the world becomes small.
Really small.
Yeah, right.
Like if I don't know them, I know their best friend.
Right.
So this guy, I'm like, so like, what do you do? And he goes, I'm a guitar tech for Fleetwood Mac. And I was like, for how long? And he's like, 27 years. And I was like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I was like, that's awesome. He goes, really? I was like, yeah. I was like, can I ask you like a serious question? He was like, if you're friends with so-and-so, you can ask me whatever you want. And I was like, when I was in like grade school, I always heard this story of like Stevie Nicks having like, cocaine blown in her butthole. I was like, is that true? And he was like, yeah, it's true, man. I go, come on, it's not true. And he goes, it's 100% true. And I go, how do you know? And he goes, because I'm the guy that did it.
Wow.
And I was like, no way. I was like, oh my God, my mind is blown. Because those stories where you hear like Rod Stewart has to have like 12 gallons of horse cum pumped out of his stomach.
Right.
You want to believe it. I want to believe it's true.
Right.
But like, those guys they probably have enough money to be like, I need 12 gallons of. They're the original Jackass.
Right.
Way before Jackass.
Right.
Rod Stewart was ingesting 12 gallons of horse cum.
Was he really doing it though?
Nah, who knows?
Yeah, right.
You're that bored. You've got that much money and you're that bored. You're like, I'll drink a gallon of horse cum.
But do you think like putting cocaine in your ass would be better?
Pudding?
I don't know.
Chocolate pudding?
No. Well, I mean, you know.
That could be our name of our next album, Chocolate Pudding Cocaine. In your butthole.
But if you placed cocaine in your rectum.
It's actually a membrane it's a mucous membrane.
Yeah.
So it absorbs the drug just like your nasal passages would.
So is it better or worse?
Well, it's your butthole. I mean, how many times are you putting things in your butthole?
Probably not a lot. I mean...
So, okay, whatever Grindr.com guy. No, but I mean, that's the thing is that, people do weird things. I mean, think about all the things, even Jackass, they got away with putting stuff in their butthole and getting x-rays.
Okay.
I mean, whatever. Anybody can do anything.
Right.
I'm not impressed anymore. I'm impressed with, like, kindness and people being gentle with each other.
Well, that's rare.
Well, I really don't care. I want them all to die and burn.
So what's the Secret Service and Deftones? What is that? Meeting
the head of the Secret Service at the HFS Festival in Washington, D.C. was extremely cool until he was like, hey, Rob, can you do me a favor? And I go, what? And he goes, can you take this guy, Joe, around and show him where all the cool places to go? And I was like, yeah, Joe who? And he's like, the guy was like, I'm Joe. And I was like, so, like, what do you do for a living? He goes, I'm Joe Gibbs. And I was like, yeah, and you, what do you, and he was like, I'm the coach of the Washington Redskins. And I was like, oh, that Joe Gibbs. So I got to take him around, like, to front of house and backstage and the side of the stage while Rage Against the Machine was playing.
Nice.
And I was like, so what's it like? I was like, when's the last time you saw 120,000 people jumping up and down in your field at the same time? He's like, this is the first time I've ever seen that. I was like, remember that.
Yeah.
And he was actually totally nice.
Yeah.
Super laid back. He was little. He was probably like 5'6", maybe even shorter. But he was super nice, and it was a pleasure to meet him and hang out with him.
Nice.
But it's like those types of things happen to me.
Right.
And you can't tell. I can't really tell people because they're just like, whatever, that guy's full of shit. Because, you know, people don't believe my real life. So I gave up telling people 20 years ago, basically. I mean, my friends know what's up, like, because they're like, Rob, I know. I was there when you almost got arrested in Slovenia. Like, the Italians were after you. I was like, it's a long story.
No, just through our Grindr conversations, I was, I just heard
those
like,
were
all
videos.
These crazies. Well, I'm trying to keep it, but they had, you have a lot of stories. You have a lot of stories.
I've had multiple
and they
people.
are unbelievable.
It doesn't seem like they're real, but they are. It's just a weird thing.
I've talked to people that Aaron Dallison has, which has been here.
Love that guy and his new band, Axioma, who are amazing, by the way.
Well, Cougar is a good friend of mine, and I
Cougars and grinders, bro. Like that's what you're into.
But you have a lot of crazy stories, but you got a Prince snub.
Prince definitely snubbed me.
Okay,
it was one of I may have cried. Like a little. There was like a Prince after party, and my buddy who was working for Prince was like, Rob, I told Prince about you, and he wants to meet you. He knows who you are. And I was like, Prince doesn't know who I am. I was like, there's no way. And he's like, I thought he was just fucking with me, but he's like, calling me like, dude, he's getting in the limo. He's coming there right now. So I'm at Liquid, and I'm standing in the window.
If anyone doesn't know, Liquid is a bar.
Was a bar.
Was a bar over on
West 6. On West 6 and Lakeside.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm standing in the window, and this limo pulls up, and the window rolls down, and Prince leans forward and looks directly at me into my eyes and shakes his head. Like, just shakes his head like, no. And then the window rolls up, and then the limo leaves, and I was like, did anybody just see that? What just happened? Is that happening? Did that just happen to me? Like, I like literally was like, I think Prince just snubbed me. And the only other time that was as weird as that is when Aaron Dallison was with me, and this was also at Liquid, and it was after party for Marilyn Manson. And Marilyn Manson's bodyguard comes up to me and he's like, Marilyn Manson requests your autograph. And Aaron looks at me and he goes, Rob, he was like, I have so many questions right now, bro. Like, why does Marilyn Manson want your autograph? And I was like, because I'm the guy that people want my autograph. The people that want to get autographs from them, they want to get autographs from me. Right. I'm the guy above the guy who thinks he's the guy.
Right.
And he was like, Aaron's like, Rob, I know you. You're not the guy. And I'm like, I know I'm not the guy, but somebody wants to believe I'm a guy. I'm the guy.
Yeah.
You know? Hey. But, so, you know, I had given him a gift previously that night at the show, which was a crystal bottle of pure evil. And I had this, there's a company in Cleveland called Crystal Illusions, and they do glass work and fine art and really cool stuff. And I had the guy carve pentagrams into each side of the bottle. So I was like, you know.
What was the liquid in the bottle?
It was evil.
I'm sorry.
Please.
Okay.
100% pure, unadulterated evil. Okay. So when I gave it to Brian, I was like, hey man, I was like, I got a gift for you. And he's like, what is it? I was like, it's a bottle of pure evil. He was like, what? And I was like, check it out. And he goes, there's nothing in it. I was like, is that what you believe? And I took off the top and I started drinking from it, like, oh. And I was like, oh. I was like, take a sip. And people had gathered around, and he was like, I don't know, man. Like, I basically freaked out Marilyn Manson. Like, people were like, Rob, I'd never seen Marilyn Manson get freaked out before. And I was like, well, you know, it's me.
So,
but I've known him since like the mid '90s. So
right.
I met him through knowing Nine Inch Nails people and dealing with Filter, and he actually, you know, became somebody that is like kind of like my friend. Like
right.
we're like, you know, if I see him, I'm like, what's up? And he's like, dude, what's up? The last time I saw him, we had a thumb wrestle war.
Oh, nice.
And he kind of cheated. I'm just going to say that he kind of cheated.
Right.
Because I was not, he was like 1, 2, 3, 4, I declare a thumb war. Like he just came right out of the gate, like, and then got me. And it was like, ha ha, I won. And I was like, you know, hold on a second.
Right.
Rematch. But I haven't seen him in a minute because he's gone through some stuff, and you know, I said we talked a little bit here and there online, and I just said, like, you know, just be you and don't. If you're dating Marilyn Manson, what do you think he's going to be bringing you flowers? No, he's going to bring you like a bloody axe. You know, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe he brought me a bloody axe. Well, like, it's Marilyn Manson. Give me a fucking break.
I was going to ask you if, you know, because I knew he was in some, you know, #MeToo stuff, whatever, you know, I guess. But yeah, the girl, I guess he was a little too rough sexually with her, I guess. But it's you know, I don't want to, you know, but it's Marilyn, man. It's Marilyn Manson.
It's Marilyn Manson, man. Dude. I mean, if you're not getting tied up, like, give me a break, you know? Like, I can't believe Marilyn Manson didn't tie me up.
Right.
Like, tie me up, Brian, tie me up, you know, call it a day, leave me in your basement for a couple weeks. I'll ship myself, we'll make a video, we'll sell it on eBay, you know.
Do you think you're partially at fault for his misdoings with the women? Because maybe you made him a little...
No,
you know, you pushed him.
No. He's his own guy. He's trust me. That guy's, first of all, he's actually hilarious.
Right.
Like, he plays that, like, the dark guy.
Yeah.
He totally loves sports.
You would have to be.
He loves sports. He's totally fucking hilarious. Yeah. He's fun to hang out with. He's not that people treat people, and that's something that David Bowie went through also. Is he just wanted to be treated like a normal person.
Right.
But when you have that kind of notoriety, your people treat you differently, and they think that they need to treat you differently when you're just a regular person like any other person.
Right.
And that's what I don't get about fandom.
Right.
There's only one time I've been starstruck in my whole life, and I was eating at Mel's Diner on Sunset in L.A., and I was sitting there with my buddy, and I was like, "Oh my God, look who that is over there!" And he was like, "Who?" I was like, the guy in the sailor hat and the Hawaiian shirt. And he goes, that guy over there with the, and the lady at the beehive hairdo, I go, dude, don't you know who that is? He's like, no. I go, I'm like having a mental block.
Was it Jimmy Buffett or
no? I'm having he was cabbie in Escape from New York.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I know Kurt Russell was in that. Whatever.
Why am I forgetting his name? I don't know. My brain's not working.
Okay.
But we'll get back to that at some point.
Sure.
But I got starstruck, and my buddy was like, "That's who you're gonna get starstruck with? That guy?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude. He was in McHale's Navy." And he was like, "What?"
Oh.
And I straight up went up to him. I was like,
Borgnine?
Ernest Borgnine.
Yeah.
So I went up to him and I was like, "Excuse me." I was like, "I'm sorry for interrupting your dinner." I was like, "Are you, by any chance, Ernest Borgnine?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, yes, I am." And I was like, dude, McHale's Navy is the bomb. And he was like, "You even know what that is?"
Yeah.
And he was with his wife, and she was like, they were like cracking up.
Definitely for sure, they don't know what that is.
There's no way. They don't even know what anything is. No history.
Right.
But that's the thing. Like, it's just one of those things that happens.
I was gonna say you have a shot here. I don't know if you want to.
All right, let's try one.
You know what? Here. I don't know. I've never done this before.
This is actually for fermented donkey urine from Indonesia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I brought a bottle with me because I knew that you would appreciate something that you probably haven't had before.
I guess this is going to go a little differently from now on.
Right. Well, I couldn't bring you herpes because you already have that.
True.
To never having your skin peeled off at knife point.
Yes.
Oh my God. Drunk history at Vince's.
Right.
Have you been on TikTok?
I'm not the big. My buddy
you seem like a dancer.
My buddy keeps trying to get me on TikTok. But I tell him, there's no like nudity allowed on that. So
that's OnlyFans. You need to start an OnlyFans podcast.
I gotcha. But no, honestly, TikTok. I don't know, man. I have other things to do.
There's girls with big boobs on it,
and that's my problem.
That are live,
right?
Like, check out these
boobs. Are they live?
You can. There's TikTok
really?
Live, bro. I
really?
figured. Here's my thing on TikTok Live.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Because you can talk to them.
Really?
Yeah. So you can be like, "Hey, how's it going, Marsha?"
No.
But I just say the same thing every time because it's usually like 3 girls or one girl.
Can you show your dick to them though? I mean, is that?
I don't think so. I think you're watching them.
Oh.
They would get blocked if they did something like that. That's OnlyFans. Okay. That's a whole other thing.
Okay.
But I figured out the coolest thing to get their attention is you go on their TikTok Live and you just type in, "I was born without bones," and then they go
bones.
Bones. And then they go, "I was born without bones," because they read the things as they're scrolling. And then I was like, "No way, me too. I was born without bones also." And they're like, "No, I wasn't born I had bones when I was born." But I was born without bones is like a perfect, like, everyone always reacts to it.
Right.
Or I get blocked. Like, the guy who's born, how come this one girl was like, "Why is everyone born without bones?" She was getting freaked out by it. But that's how bored I am. Is that I have to do stuff like that.
You can't get too bored when you can like relive thoughts of being at the Playboy Mansion. Like, that
was actually really interesting.
Like, I don't care if you're a woman, a man, whatever.
And this is
what is the Playboy? Yeah, come on. You could be at the Playboy Mansion.
I have a buddy.
Right?
I have a buddy who lives in L.A. who's originally from Cleveland Heights. He's one of my favorite weirdos that I'm friends with. His name is Brian Bortz. And he had a magazine called L.A. Bar Hopper.
Okay.
And it was basically a magazine that dealt with, every single bar in L.A. and what it was about with rating systems and like what to expect. Do you want a dive bar? Do you want a high-end bar? What do you want? And I found out that there's a party going on at the Playboy Mansion when I was going to be in town.
Okay. So
I was like, "Hey, man, contact this company and get us some media passes for the event. And he was like, he's like, Rob, you're kidding, right? I was like, no, dude. I was like, listen, just trust me. I wrote the letter. I sent it to him. I was like, just forward this. I'll write the whole thing, and you just send it. I know how to do this the right way. So, a couple weeks later, I forgot about it. A couple weeks later, he calls me. He's like, dude, you're never going to guess this. We have passes to the Playboy Mansion party. And I was like, no. I was like, this is not really happening. So you can't just go drive there. You have to be shuttled into the Playboy Mansion from a parking garage. There's like all sorts of security and safety issues, and they have a specific protocol, or had a specific protocol to how you would enter into that world. So Brian and I, we're in this. The gates of the Playboy Mansion are opening up, and I swear to God, man, it's like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory of Pussy.
Yeah.
Like I was like, we were like Thelma and Louising. Like, oh my God, so excited.
You can't say you can't refer to women as pussy. It might trigger somebody. So can you think of a different word?
Sex.
Okay.
I don't know. It's the Playboy Mansion. It's a little bit piggish. I think women will understand that what it is. It's very sexist and manipulating of women.
Very misogynistic.
Just wait till you watch the documentary.
Right, yeah.
She basically, the craziest thing in the entire Playboy documentary is his ex-girlfriend straight up. It's like, I walked in on Hugh Hefner and he was fucking our dog.
Wow.
Like,
wait, what?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wait.
He said that.
How big of a dog?
Like a little one.
Like a little? No.
Bro. Not kidding. Watch the documentary. It's in it.
Really?
100% in it, verbatim. She was like, I walked in. He was fucking our dog.
No way.
And I was like, what are you doing? And he goes, dogs have needs too.
That's crazy.
Right.
So wait, Hugh Hefner was fucking a dog.
Yes.
Wow.
But
like a Bichon Frise or something, or what?
I don't know which dog it was. I think in the documentary she actually says what dog it is.
Yeah.
But so the coolest thing, like being at the Playboy Mansion is one thing, but then having like just an open bar for people like Brian and I, having an open bar with us who like are professionals, like people, they ended up issuing a security detail to us because they were scared of us.
Right.
We were like double shot of Patron, double shot of Patron, double shot of Patron, double shot of Patron. They were like, the people there were like, who are you guys? We're like, we're from Cleveland. And they're like, Cleveland people, Jesus. Like we were like, oh, we're crazy. Like it was just too.
Accent or?
No, people in Cleveland think I'm from California.
Oh, really?
You have a California accent. Where are you from? I'm like, Shaker Heights. They're like,
I was in California for a year, and everyone were like, "What are you from, Cleveland?" I was like, "How'd they know that?"
Because we don't care. It's like a whole different thing. Everyone out there pretends they care. We just don't care.
Right.
Like, why would you pretend you care? Just don't care.
Right.
But so we got super plastered, and obviously talking to playmates. There's a couple girls there that I straight up, and nothing's out of my league. Like there's a couple girls there that I was like, that girl might be out of my league. And like,
if anyone doesn't know, this is a tall man. I'm gonna guess you're about 6'3".
6'2.7".
Okay, something
in between 6'2" and a half.
He's a good-looking man. That's why I don't do anyone on Grindr less than 6'2". So
right.
So,
but I also have warts.
That's like another common thing.
Do you know it's impossible to get whiteheads on a wart?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
I know a lot of weird facts.
Okay.
Like the skin thing. I don't know.
Right.
So we're, halfway through the night, people are like, who are you? We're like, we're with LA Bar Hopper magazine, like taking photos with people. Like I'm meeting all the girls like on the TV show. And I'm like, you know what? I know how to do this the right way. So I find the oldest person that works there, and I go up to her, and I go, excuse me, can I ask you a serious question? And she was like, yes. I go, my name is Robert C. Stevens, and I'm from Shaker Heights, Ohio, and my friend and I are here, and we've never been here before, and we'd just like to know, what is the coolest thing that you can tell us that we can do that we don't know about and nobody else knows about? And she was like, you know what? People usually don't talk that way to me, and that you're so nice and that you did it so perfectly wonderful, I'm going to tell you everything. And I was like, really? She's like, have you been to the Playhouse yet? And I was like, I don't even know what that is. And she's like, it's where all the cool people hung out and played pool and video games and played piano and did drugs and fucked people and everything.
This is in what city?
This is at the Playboy Mansion.
Oh.
Yeah. We're still at the Playboy Mansion, bro.
Okay.
So she's like, you got to go down the path, and then when it goes into the trees, don't go to the right, take the fork to the left.
So it's like a whole compound.
Dude, it's huge. They have a zoo there. We were at the zoo partying. I was like, little monkeys, monkey, get over here, little monkey.
Really?
Dude. they have a full zoo. The fork goes to there's a fork in the path when you go to the side of the mansion into the woods. The right fork goes to the zoo, and the left fork goes to the Playhouse. So we're at the Playhouse playing pool. No one's there, and then like girls start coming in because the girls are like, oh, there's some people are in the Playhouse, and it's like Frank Sinatra, like memorabilia. It's like all the coolest shit from the 70s, like 60s and 70s and 80s that you can ever imagine. There's 2 bang rooms, and that were covered in mirror.
What do you mean bang rooms? Like it's
like straight up just for banging.
Like sex.
Yes, like off of the playroom where the pool table is and the pinball machines and everything. There's like these 2 little rooms, one on each side, and they are definitely for, if you have to rock one out real quick or whatever.
Nice.
And my buddy was straight up trying to get girls like, yeah, we're here, and they're like, not even close, buddy. But I was playing piano. I was like, chopping broccoli.
Right.
And like I made these 3.
Was that popular back then? Was that the Dana Carvey thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just, like I was pretending that I was like playing something.
Right.
And like these playmates were like, who are you? And I was like, I'm just a drunk stoner from Cleveland, Ohio. And they're like, drunk stoner guy from Cleveland, Ohio. You're so amazing.
Nice.
But we ended up like getting a security detail, and I guess the coolest thing that happened was like smoking a blunt. We smoked a blunt in the grotto. They were giving out free blunts. And there was a guy, I was smoking a blunt, and this guy was banging this girl doggy style and was like, hey, can I hit that? And I was like, I guess. So I like walk over and hand him the blunt while he's like, yeah. And he starts smoking it, and he's like, high five. He's like, high five, all right. And so I high-fived this guy doing this girl doggy style while he's smoking a blunt that I just handed him. And then he hands it back to me, and I was like, I don't know if I should put my lips on this. I feel kind of weird now. I was like, what just happened? But you just don't think that's going to happen in real life.
Right.
Like, it wasn't like I was, like, looking for it, but it was in the grotto area, that's a whole other thing. It's just walking around there and just knowing all the stories. And,
right.
They tried to sue me one time.
Wait, the Playboy Mansion?
Well, the organization Playboy.
Really?
I had made some Playboy knockoff shirts that said International Playboy Gangster.
Oh, okay.
With their logo, but I reversed their logo.
Okay.
And then I sent them a box of like 30 of them. Like, here you go, you guys. Like,
well, that was probably the mistake.
I'm a professional. Can't sue somebody that has nothing. Like, I want to take all of your nothing.
Right. No.
But I think I got like a cease and desist letter, something like that.
All right. Well, I think you have to pee.
No,
I have to pee.
What does that mean?
I have to like urinate.
Just use your bottle right there.
I mean, I could, but we are at an hour. I think we could take a break because I definitely have a lot more I want to.
I probably could use another beer.
Okay. I definitely have a lot more to get to. So we're going to take a quick break. And
wait, hold on.
Yeah.
This podcast is sponsored by 100,000 Leagues Under My Nutsack. Read 'em and weep.
Hey, Rob, what are we doing?
That's a really interesting question, Vince. Here's what we're doing. We're doing sub CLE. We're doing sub CLE. It's the place where rock meets country. We're doing the sub CLE. Oh my God, we had to take a break and pee. We're doing it for you and we're doing it for them, and we're doing it for everyone who isn't even a friend. We're doing it tonight, and it's gonna be alright. And that's why we took a break so we could pee. That's why we're doing Sub-CLE. It's not for free, you've got to pay with your soul. You've got to duct tape that brown furry mole. You've got to hang out with Vince all night and make sure his pants are not too wet and they're tight. 'Cause we're doing Sub-CLE. We're doing Sub-CLE. We're doing Sub-CLE. And we're doing it for free, for you and me. It took me 4 months to write that song.
No, now I know why it took so long to get you on here, going back and forth. I knew you
because I found out I didn't have AIDS.
Right.
And I knew that if I didn't have AIDS, that you didn't want me here as much as you want people that do have AIDS.
Right.
Because you can't be, you can't just throw people under the bus just because they may have had some sort of immune deficiency.
No, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, but that was special though, man. That was good.
How many people come in here and just all of a sudden have a song for your show that you can use as a, you can obviously edit that down to something that's actually not as horrible as it really is.
I was going to say it was perfect.
Perfectly horrible. Yeah, I see how you are. Wow. That's after all I've been through and done for you. And then you treat me like this and a pod cyst.
Right.
Is it pod cyst or podcast?
It's funny you say that because I don't actually like to call it a podcast because people were doing these things before.
Wasn't it just called like doing a thing? What was it called back then?
Yeah, it was like, because
basically you're your own radio station.
Yeah, right. I liked Charlie Rose. I always thought how he talked to people and whatnot.
Did you ever think about Charlie Rose naked with bananas and ice cream?
No, but the girls that he sexually harassed, I'm sure, have seen that.
Sexual harassment is such a gray area nowadays.
Right.
But it's whether a girl likes it or not. But it's also, you can't be creepy about it.
Right.
Like, be a gentleman.
Right.
I've said weird things to chicks. I've been beaten up many, many, many times for saying really weird things. But it's like I'm working on material.
Right.
It's like I'm not like trying to give somebody a hickey on the inside of their butthole for Jesus at a Christian event.
Right.
That's kind of inappropriate. Things can be construed as inappropriate.
I guess you could
but touching people, once there's the personal space of 12 to 16 inches, no touching. Like, who wants to be touched? Do you like being touched by random strangers in alleys?
No, I'm not like the biggest hugger guy. I've been trying to be a hugger, but I'm not.
Nobody wants to be a skin flute player or pole smoker or hugger, all those things, whatever they are nowadays. I just feel like it's a little bit too much for the people that don't like being touched.
Right.
And, what if you're touched in the head and you're schizophrenic and your imaginary friends are touching you in ways that are inappropriate?
Right.
Is there any foundations out there that will deal with this kind of mental illness?
I would imagine there is, I think there's something out there to kind of help everyone.
Is it Sub-CLE?
Well, it could be. Do you want to help me with this agenda?
No, I don't, actually.
Okay.
I don't like helping anybody. I can't even help myself. That's how horrible I am. People are like, why don't you have a pet? And I was like, one time I had hermit crabs, and I put them next to the heater to keep them warm in the winter, and I accidentally cooked them. And people were like, I can't believe you murdered hermit crabs.
Yeah.
And I realized that I shouldn't have a pet.
No, I've realized the same thing. I was going to ask you. It's funny that you said that because I was going to ask you, hey, have you had any pets? You were on that wavelength.
I actually had a pet human once.
Oh, a human?
Yes. I had a pet human named Zach.
Okay.
He was my neighbor, and he was a little slow.
Okay.
But he was also totally awesome. It was kind of like he's like a savant.
Okay.
And I was like, Zach, will you be my pet human? And he was like, totally, Rob. Like, I'm Rob's pet human. And then people would be like, what are you talking about, pet human? And they would get upset about it, and I had to stop talking about it and saying that he was my pet human because people were like upset.
Why?
Because people take everything so seriously.
Yeah.
There's nothing funny about comedy anymore. You can't be funny.
No.
You can't talk. How many abortion jokes have you heard lately?
I mean, you can't say I think
you can't say I was born an abortion and I'm a Republican.
Right.
Because I don't want to get political, but it's
you
just
have
like
to pick your side. Yeah.
I don't try to pick sides because I believe in understanding all sides.
Correct.
And I think having a limited understanding, and when people try to say that they're just a specific way without looking into somebody else's process of thought and understanding, like you have to have something to back something up that has some depth of process of information or understanding.
So whenever I see something as super divisive, that's when I try more to see the other person's side of you.
Like Pornhub.
Totally. Well, that's how I got on the Grindr.
If they start making people pay for porn.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, you had to pay for porn.
Yeah.
And that's interesting that you said that because we were talking about Maple Grove earlier.
Yeah.
Maple Grove is an awesome place in Maple Heights.
Okay.
And my buddy owns it. And
Nick Suma,
who is one of the coolest guys ever.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know this. When the guy Nils Teague got out of Filter, he was the original member of Filter with Richard Patrick. And I kind of can't really go into this because of legal ramifications. But Nils decided to open up a studio. We called it Vegas. And that is how I became closer friends with Nick, because I knew he was in the Floyd band, which is like one of the coolest, most iconic punk bands in Cleveland.
Right.
If you've never seen the Floyd band, they do originals, they do covers. I've seen them do like 2 hours of covers where I was just like blown away.
He's doing the Cleveland Steamers too.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Floyd is definitely interesting cat, but I mean that's what I grew up with when I was a kid. It's like things like Starvation Army, the Pink Holes, the Dark, Knife Dance, the Guns, Floyd band, the Offbeats. I mean, the list goes on and on. But in the 80s, it wasn't like it is today where you have 30,000 bands in Cleveland.
Right.
If you go online and Google what city in the United States has the most heavy metal bands, Cleveland is number one in the whole country.
I didn't know that.
Well, you didn't know about having 31 pounds of skin also.
I did not.
Well, it happens. But and that's not even there's so many bands in this city that it's like almost hard to get gigs now because there's so many people that are playing now.
Right.
That everyone it's like just a huge crapshoot of like, I'm a veteran of playing music in Cleveland, and in the last band I was in, Grievance Committee, we had trouble getting shows.
Right.
And I would be like, I had to beg people for a fucking show. Like beg, like please, I'm 100 years old. I'm gonna throw my hip out. Like you.
Like I've done.
But I mean, they don't. No one. There's so many bands that everyone wants to. It's competitive.
Right.
Unless you're like Mushroom Head or obviously MGK, and you can just break out. And Mushroom Head's been around for so long. They're still, they're still touring. They're still doing it. They're still making videos. They're still making good music.
Right.
Even if Jeff Hatrix isn't in the band, I personally wouldn't call it Mushroom Head because of Jeff Hatrix and not being in the band.
Right.
But that's just me.
That was.
I'm a Jeff Hatrix fan. I've always been a fan since day one. He's.
But back in the day, you always kind of saw it because I knew Hatrix before Mushroom Head existed.
Do you know what his band was before Mushroom Head?
Was it Purgatory or was it Hatrix? Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so Hatrix.
We used to call him Hatrix.
Yeah, I knew the Hatrix thing, and then they did the Mushroom Head thing. So I always thought it was like a side thing of Hatrix.
Everything's a side thing of everything.
Yeah, right.
If you think about it, you know what I mean.
But no, do you know Purgatory? Do you know?
Yeah,
yeah.
Not personally. I mean, I saw them in the 80s.
Do you know the whole lineup of that?
I'm not a stats guy. I've got friends who are super stats guys who know every single. They can tell me liner notes on records.
Right.
Where I'm like, how do you know that? And they're like, I memorized it. I'm like, why? Like I had to. And I was like, I guess. But I'm not a stats guy. I just try to do what has to be done the right way and then fuck it up.
Right.
And then try to redo it even better.
Yeah.
Mostly with music. But that's why, Sub CLE, CLE, came out. I worked on that song for literally over probably 4.5 weeks to make sure it was okay for you.
No, I appreciate the effort you put into that. That's
right.
Good.
Over 38 seconds. That's what my ex-girlfriend told me. Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
She was like, 38 seconds of effort. I was like, it was a lot of effort. She was like, 38 seconds? Really, bro?
I think, even if it's 38 seconds. No.
38 seconds of magic. Magical power.
I'll tell you what, that's going to be the intro to this.
38 seconds, how long I lasted last week with my ex-girlfriend. 38 seconds of pure, unadulterated power.
Let's pick up where we left off. So you obviously been in 100,000 leagues. You did the LA thing. You met all the people. You went to the Playboy Mansion. You
Lionel Richie bought me a hooker.
No,
it gets way better, dude.
Well,
we were at the I was in LA this one time, and we were at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, and I was hanging out with the CEO of Nike, Phil, and LeBron James, and all of a sudden,
nobody important, those guys.
It just doesn't sound real, but so my buddy was sitting next to me, my buddy Brian, that I went to the Playboy Mansion with.
Did LeBron know you were from Cleveland? Did he?
No, he knew the person that invited us was my buddy's sister, who was LeBron James' masseuse.
Okay. And
she was like, "Hey, do you guys want to come to the game? I know you're in LA." So her brothers and I went to the game, and then afterwards she was like, "Hey, we're staying at the Beverly Wilshire. Do you guys want to come hang out?" And we were like, "Yeah." So I roll in and I sit down, and Kate's like, my friend Kate, she goes, "Oh, meet Phil." And I was like, "So, how's it going, Phil? Like, what do you do?" And he's like, "I'm Phil Knight." And I was like, "Yeah, cool." I was like, "And you do what?" And he was like, "I'm the CEO of Nike." I was like, "Oh." So I had just ordered like a $20 glass of wine. I was like, unwinding from the game, just wanted to sit down and have a glass of wine. And my buddy next to me was plastered. And I turn after I'm talking to Phil, and I'm like, "Where's my wine?" And he's pounding the entire thing. And then I'm like, "You got to be kidding me." The night gets way weirder. I can't believe this is even a real thing. So Lionel Richie rolls in, and we're like pushing LeBron James out of the way, like, "Whatever, with you. Lionel Richie's here. You get out of the way." And LeBron James was like, "What?" Like, my buddy asked LeBron James for an autograph, and my buddy was like, "Maybe you've had too many drinks, buddy." And he was like, "Come on, just let me get a photo." And LeBron's like, "Bro, lay off the sauce." Yeah. Like, cracking on my buddy. And I was just like, this is not really happening. And then I'm like, let's go. I was like, let's go hang out with Lionel Richie. So you kind of got to move in. It's like a thing. Like, we just kind of scooted over to where he was, and he was with these chicks. And I started talking to one of the girls, and she's like, "We're with Lionel," and I was like, "You're with me now." And then she's like, "I don't think that's how it works." I was like, "Listen, whatever he's paying you, I'll double it."
Yeah.
And she's like, "That's not how we do business." And he was like, "Whoa. And I was like, "What?" And he looks straight in my eyes and goes, "Are you trying to steal my women?" And I went, "Yes." And he was like, "That's cool. You can have her." So Lionel Richie, I was like, in my mind, I was like, "Oh my God, he is easy like Sunday morning." I was like, "This is the greatest." I was like, "This is not really happening." And so I started talking to her, and I was like, saying weird things.
Right.
And then I just started talking to Lionel, because I'm like, anyhow, she went to the bathroom or something, and I was like, anyhow, "What's up?" He's like, "Who are you?" And I was just like, "My name's Rob. I'm from Cleveland, blah, blah, blah. I'm in a band called 100,000 Leagues Under My Nutsack." He's like, "Is that real?" And I go, "Yeah, it's sweet." I was like, "You're going to love it." Because you want to, have you ever heard of sliced bread?
Right.
Almost as good as moldy sliced bread. you know, you don't want to oversell it, but you want to like lay it out there. So he was like, I straight up, I had enough drinks in me. I was like, come with me right now. And I took Lionel Richie over to a piano and I sat down and I was like straight up like, yeah, got toes made out of jelly beans. Like, and just doing all this weird shit. And he was like, I don't even know. He was like, I don't even know what to tell you. Like, what is it? Did you write that? I go, I just made that up on the spot. And he was like, what? He was like confused at first. And then he was like, do you want to drive my Lamborghini? He had a fluorescent green Lamborghini.
Nice.
And I was like, of course. I was like, of course, Richie. Of course I want to drive your Lamborghini. And my buddy was like straight up, like Lionel Richie was like, it was like slow motion in a movie. Lionel Richie's holding his keys up like this, like, just don't crash it. He goes, have you ever driven in a Lamborghini? I was like, dude, I'm from Shaker Heights every other day. And he was like, oh, yeah, well, of course. Shaker Heights. I've never driven a Lamborghini.
Geraldo lives there.
He just moved back, and guess where he hangs out? Harbor Inn.
Oh, yeah?
Fridays.
Nice.
He was like, make sure you tell everybody not to come here on Fridays. I was like, telling everybody, Geraldo.
Now tens of people will see.
Over 7 people in a row will be like, oh, my God, that's Geraldo. Like, what? Nice vault action, buddy. Like, what do you scream across the bar at Geraldo? Like, hey, vault boy, what's up? Like, he's like, I'm getting heckled at Harbor Inn in Cleveland. Nice, where's the vault?
All right.
You can't, first of all, let me tell you something. That guy wins. He's like, let's put black people and Ku Klux Klan people on the same stage. like it was like they had white supremacists, racists, Nazis, and like this is on his show live.
What could go wrong?
It's one of the greatest pieces of film that exists, and I ended up meeting the guy, the white supremacist guy, on the show.
Wow,
I know. It's weird the people you meet in the world. But I forgot where we were.
Oh. Gosh, you know what? I wanted to go into. Oh
wait, hold on, one more thing.
Yeah, sure.
Same night. Jesus, can't believe I'm saying this. I got literally this close to hooking up with David Hasselhoff's wife, Pam Hasselhoff.
Wow.
She was going. I watched her straight up grab Andrew Verjau's cock.
Wow.
I was like, wow. I was like, that girl's my style. So I was like, fuck it. If she's grabbing dicks, she'll talk to somebody like me all night long.
She's looking for the turbo boost.
So I was like, at this point, this is at the very end of the night, and I was like, what's up? My name is Rob. What's your name? And she was like, Pam. I was like, I think we need to hang out. And she was like, yeah, maybe we do need to hang out.
Yeah. And
at this point, I didn't know who she was. And I'm sitting there and we're talking, and I was like, so where are you staying? And I'm like, she's like, I'm here. And I was like, oh, my God, I'm here, too. I was like, what floor are you on? She's like, I'm on the 5th floor. I was like, oh, my God, I'm on the 5th floor also. I go, what room are you in? She's like, I'm in 507. I was like, oh, my God, I'm in 507 also. And she was like, she looked straight at me, and she was like, you are in 507. And it was going to be me and her friend. And I can't even imagine, like, and I basically strung her along for the rest of the night until I found out. My buddy was like, Rob, what are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean what I'm doing? I was like, I'm hooking up with this chick. And he goes, no, dude, you can't hook up with her. I go, why? He goes, do you know who that is? I go, yeah, her name's Pam. He goes, Pam what? And I go, I don't know. He goes, yeah, Rob, Pam Hasselhoff. And I was like, in my brain, I just thought, like, being back here in Cleveland, hungover on my couch, like, the next day, like, David Hasselhoff's at my door, like, pounding on the door, like, I know who you are. I'm going to kill you. Like, nobody, dude, I love Knight Rider. Did you know the guy that owns the Knight Rider car lives in Cleveland and you can rent it out?
I did not know that.
Look it up.
100%.
Really? Dude, I met him at Jack Prince. He was getting a giant cutout of David Hasselhoff. And I was like, David Hasselhoff. Well, when you see a giant cutout of David Hasselhoff, you just think to yourself, man, who's doing this, and why are they putting it in their bedroom and lying around naked?
Well, being a 40-something-year-old man, I see David Hasselhoff as Knight Rider, Michael Knight. You know what I mean?
Well, can you please refer to him as the Hoff?
Okay, the Hoff I see him as Michael Knight, whereas a lot of people see him as the Mitch or whatever from Baywatch or whatever. But I think that car, like I rewatched because it just came on like Netflix or something, whatever.
Knight Rider car, Kit.
Yeah.
Generally, what other most Starsky and Hutch car?
Right.
What are the most other iconic cars?
Well, you have the
Back to the Future car.
Right.
That would probably be the number one car.
Right.
Can you name it?
Starsky and Hutch already?
Well, Starsky and Hutch has got the car with the stripe.
Right.
The red car with the white
the
check stripe
A-team.
thing. That's a van.
Okay.
Listen, you're getting way off base.
I'm sorry.
First of all, don't say sorry to me. It's your podcast. I don't care. I'll talk about me like shitting my pants for hours straight.
But I want to talk about that model of I think it was a Trans Am and whatever.
Smokey and the Bandit.
But that Trans Am in Knight Rider, like to this day, it still looks like a relevant car.
You can rent it out.
But I'm saying it looks like a new car.
What if we did your next podcast in the Knight Rider car?
I mean, that would be amazing.
I can set that up.
Let's do it.
That's the kind of guy I am.
All right.
I'll charge
the
nothing.
Next Sub CLE will be in the Knight Rider car.
We'll see. It's actually I got his number.
Okay.
Because he randomly came in right when I was picking up some merchandise there.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, can I just ask you a question? And he was like, what? I go, why do you have this?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I own the car.
Right.
And I was like, what car? And he's like, Kit. And I was like, come on. And he was like, I'm not. He was like, it's right outside.
Okay.
So he went and picked it up. And I was like, I was like looking at it like, how is this happening to me in real life?
Yeah, that's awesome.
But, for all the things that happen to me in real life that I actually enjoy having it happen,
yeah,
there are thousands of things that have happened that are very unenjoyable. Where, like almost getting murdered in foreign countries by people who don't understand comedy.
Well, that's what I wanted to go into was Aaron Dallison told me a couple stories about how you may or may not have run over one of your friends in another country.
Oh, my God. That is 100% true. He's not just one of my friends. He's one of my dearest, oldest, best friends.
Yeah.
His name is Daniel Valerian, and it was obviously not intentional. This was an accident, but we were in Bern, Switzerland. We were on tour with Keel Hall, which if you haven't heard Keel Hall, they are one of the most quintessential, greatest rock bands in the history of Cleveland music. They are unequivocally so good that I've watched them make music industry people cry.
Right.
Where they were like, I don't understand what's happening. They're inside my brain.
Yeah.
But we were on tour. We were in Bern, Switzerland, and there was a roundabout around the venue, like a very large roundabout. And to enter into the thing, you had to kind of like get lucky and stop traffic or something. I don't know how people got into this place.
Yeah.
But I had to back in. So I was trying to back in, and as I was backing in, my buddy was trying to stop traffic. And he was in my blind spot, and I ended up turning and running him over both of his legs. And then he was like, oh, my God, you ran me over. You ran over my legs. And I was like, oh, my God. And I freaked out and ran him over again.
Oh, my God.
And he was like, ah. And then the police were there and saw this happen and tried to arrest me. And my buddy was like, Dan, I'm getting arrested for running you over. I was like, he knows I would never run over my friend.
Right.
I mean, some of them.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's a gray area. But, you do this, and it's like, it kind of puts a damper on everything, because I have to go in the venue. They're sound checking. We got there a little bit late because we were driving separate because of they only had so much room, so we were like, we're going to get our own car.
Yeah.
And things get so weird so quick. I'm like, hey, you guys, I just ran Dan over in the car. And they're like, what are you talking about? And like everything, we have to stop everything. Dan comes in, the police are trying to arrest me. He's like, Dan's doing an Irish jig, like, I'm totally fine. And he's like, oh God. That was actually an interesting point in my life, because his insurance company, when we got back to America, his insurance company ended up suing me civilly, and basically I had to get a lawyer, and I lost everything that I had to my name, and had to be on a payment plan for like 5 years.
Wow.
To pay for all of his injuries, and it was like, I don't know. So I guess it's like a learning lesson, you know. Super buzzkill, like my lawyer was like, "How much do you have in the bank?" And I was like, "X." And he was like, "That's hilarious." He's like, "Well, first you're going to write me a check for X, and then we're going to have a payment plan for you for the next 5 years." And I was like, but you know, that's not the worst thing of it though, which is the funniest thing, is that at the time his daughter was maybe probably like 6 or 7, Nola, and she was like, "Uncle Rob," and I was like, "What, Nola?" She's like, she's got these big eyes. She's like, "Will you promise me something?" And I was like, "What? Yeah, whatever you want." She was like, "Will you promise not to run my daddy over ever again?"
Oh my!
And like, I almost started crying. I was like, "Why?" And he looked at me like, "Remember that." And I was like, "Oh my God." But you know, I mean, that's the thing. That's that he can forgive me for doing something that's stupid and almost killing him, and that I can forgive him for, you know, having his insurance company sue me. It's all water under the bridge.
Right.
You know, friendships.
I mean, was he able to fully recover?
Yeah, well, he still to this day is like, I don't think I'll ever fully recover.
Okay.
But, you know, like he's recovered. Okay. But psychologically.
But to get run over twice, I mean, it is kind of shitty.
It's not something that I did on purpose. I didn't tell you about what happened earlier in the day when he locked me in the car in the summer in the sunlight with the windows closed.
So there's some angst there.
No, there was no angst. It was just it was just another weird mishap. It was we were running on empty and raging so hard that we were just not focusing properly. Yeah. I don't do Adderall or like the stuff that people like me actually need.
Right.
Like the last time I took Adderall, it put me to sleep.
Well,
so like I don't do stuff like that. Now I just smoke PCP coated crack with a heroin center.
So around the same time you lost your passport, what was that all about?
My buddy decided to drive ahead, and all I had was my driver's license that looked like Laurel and Hardy, it kind of looked like a little bit like Hitler. So I was in the van, and I was like, I don't have my passport, and they're like, obviously you're not leaving this country. So I got stuck in between countries. I was stuck in between Slovenia and there's like 5 guys with machine guns. Like, get out of the van right now. Everyone's like, Rob, get out of the van. Don't get a shot. I mean, it's just when you're in foreign countries with your friends, like the conversations we have are like, Rob, please don't get us kicked out of this country and please don't get us shot. It's not funny. I mean, it's serious, dude.
I mean, sorry.
People can turn on you really quickly in a foreign country.
Yeah.
I mean, what if I got sex trafficked?
They just don't know you.
There's a reason for that. You know, you don't want to scare people too much with the truth. But so this is after I had almost gotten killed in Milan. We were staying at a mental institution, and they're like, "You're staying in a mental institution." I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Well, they gave it to the people that are patients to run," and we were like, "Yeah." I was like, they're like, everyone for staying in a mental institution, raise your hand. We were all like, let's do this. And it had 2 like 40-foot cement walls that you had to drive through. Like we were there, people were like
45 tall or wide?
Tall.
Okay.
That surrounded the entire institution.
Okay.
So I think so they had given they made it illegal to be mentally ill or something and be a ward of the state. So they gave the institution to the mentally ill patients to run. So they would have shows there, and they would have people stay there.
Really?
But there'd be like, you know, you'd be like, I'm just going to go to the bathroom, and then there'd be a guy like pounding his head against the wall, like movie style, where you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Really?
Yeah, it was, but it was also interesting because they had the showers were like more like mental institution, like troughs in the ground. That were like you just like spray yourself down, like you're like sitting on like a weird cement thing and just like showering like I'm totally crazy.
Well, I think at the old municipal stadium they had the troughs.
Well, the troughs when you went to the bathroom at the old municipal stadium, you waded in at least 1,000 people's urine.
Cleveland Municipal Stadium.
Cleveland Municipal Stadium.
The world people watching this.
But
yeah.
that was something very unique. Like I remember my dad was like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want to go to a Browns game, and I want to sit in the dog pound." I was like 8.
Yeah.
You know, like this is what I want. My dad was like, "We're gonna do whatever you want." And I remember a dude whipping his dick out and peeing like right in front of me, and I was like, "Yeah, that guy's peeing right there." And my dad's like, "Just don't look at his dick, son." And I was like, "All right, whatever." People were lighting up joints.
I was in the same situation with my dad. Yeah, I think that was a common thing.
Yeah, you were in the bathroom with. That was like a different situation. I don't know if we can talk about that on this kind of podcast, bro. I don't know. Right. You shouldn't go that way. But no, but that was I have a seat from the final time that anybody ever played there. The Indians played there. I got the ticket and the seat that I sat in, like stapled. It's like, people were tearing out things.
Nice.
My favorite thing is 10-cent beer night. Like the T-shirts that they have, like 10-cent beer night.
Yeah.
When you can incite like mass violence through alcohol abuse, I think there's something to be said about that kind of experiment. The only other experiment that Cleveland did, which was like super stupid, was the time we released 1 million balloons that caused like traffic accidents and like people almost dying. And do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
What, you're texting in the middle of this?
I mean, you're not supposed to give away my whatever.
Grindr app Expo 2022.
So I was getting my Grindr on, and I was on to something, but he ruined it. But no, I want to go back into the Europe thing.
Oh yeah, so getting trapped in between countries at machine gun point is not something that you want to do. I had to sit in a no man's land outside. It was like raining. I had to sit under. They were like, "You will not leave here or go anywhere. You're trapped." And I was like, "This sucks." I had a hoodie on.
A park bench, passed out somewhere at some point.
That's a whole nother story.
Okay.
I got roofied once and ended up 2 states away under a park bench with a sheriff like poking.
Aaron told me to ask you about all that, and I didn't.
Sometimes things happen that are not normal things that you want to have happen to you. Trust me. I mean, everyone's. The only thing that we all have in common is everyone has shit their pants. Like literally. There's not anybody that. If there's somebody out there that's like, I've never shit my pants, you're a fucking liar.
I have an early memory of me doing that when I was in probably, I think, 3rd grade, and I did it, and I tried to hide it. And like I'm trying to like keep it in the pant leg, and for it not to fall out because it was like a little poop chunk, and like everyone, and then it fell out eventually, and everyone's like, "Oh, what's that?"
Are you trying to turn me on right now?
Yeah, kind of.
I shit my pants while I was skiing.
Yeah.
And the shit rolled down my leg into my boot.
Oh, boy.
It was not a good day at the office. But the weirdest thing about shitting your pants is there's only one thing that's weirder than shitting your pants.
What's that?
Shitting someone else's pants.
Wow. Did that happen?
Dude, I've partied. Trust me. I've shit other people's pants.
You shit. How does that happen?
I don't want to even get into it. The semantics are going to blow your mind.
I mean, you're supposed to get into it because we're doing a thing.
Right. But nobody wants to hear about that shit.
I think they kind of do want to now.
I've making people laugh so hard. Like I've made people laugh so hard where I was like, I know that they think it's funny, and I've actually made people piss their pants. I saw a woman one time. She just turned like she had saw a ghost, and I was like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "I just laughed so hard that I pissed my pants." And I was like, I felt like I had done like a good deed,
right?
But then I was like, nobody like should be feeling that way, like where you have no control over your bodily functions,
right?
Right. That's why I find myself like a aficionado for, what cock blocking is?
I mean, is that where maybe are you raising chickens and you kind of like
can't get them to the roosters?
Yeah, something
close.
Okay.
But like I learned how to be a professional cock blocker of myself through just using words.
Ooh.
Yeah. And what I realized.
How does that happen?
Well, you meet a beautiful woman, and then you start talking to her, and then all of a sudden you say something so weird that they decide to not talk to you anymore, and they talk to your friend.
Huh.
So all my friends were like, "Rob, you're the greatest wingman. I just wait till you get drunk and say something weird, then the girls fall into my hands."
That's cool. I'm going to have to hang out with you more.
Dude, I get people laid that can't even get laid.
Huh.
Right. Like homeless people, bag ladies, I have connections.
Nice.
I can hook it up.
That's cool.
Well, it's not, I don't think it's cool. It's just something that it's like a fringe benefit of like trying to do what's right for people and be the kind of person that you want to be to the world, how you want the world to be to you. You know what I mean?
That's pretty special. What's with the Kurt Cobain guitar?
I have a guitar that Kurt Cobain played at the Euclid Tavern. It's the original Guns guitar, which was originally owned by Scott Aiken, who has passed away, who is one of my favorite people that I grew up with and an amazing musician and artist. He was in the Driven High. He was in the Guns. He was in Knife Dance. He was in the Dark. He was in a billion bands in Cleveland. He's the original guy. It was Dave Araka, Scott Aiken, Donald Swan, Adam Crone, and Craig Kahn. These are the kids that we were all together hanging out, and everyone was like, we should do a band. And Dave Araka became like the drummer for Integrity, Asphalt. He was a famous tattoo artist that taught people like Kim Say how to tattoo. He was one of the most talented people in Cleveland, and he passed away from an aneurysm when he was 27.
Oh,
he would have been so famous. All those TV shows and all that shit that went down at that time period, he would have been the guy that took control of all of it. Having an aneurysm is not cool.
No.
And I miss that guy, and I miss Scott Aiken also. But Scott Aiken had the guitar. It's a Vantage guitar, and they were at the Euclid Tavern, and Kurt Cobain had like broken some strings or something and didn't have any extra strings. So Scott let him use the Vantage guitar for the rest of the set. So like it's a guitar that I had it it was completely destroyed, and he was like, I'll trade you this guitar for like get me like a quarter of weed. And I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
So I had it completely redone, and I had it. Chris Stovacek, who's in a band called Madison Crawl, he was redoing guitars at that time and doing, refurbing guitars and working on people's stuff. And I was like, hey, redo this guitar for me. And he made it look, it was totally destroyed. But he put a black clear coat over it. It was kind of like your Carvin, put a black clear coat over it. And that's a guitar I used in Grievance Committee for the last 7 years, which is it's a fucking amazing guitar. And Kurt Cobain played it.
Nice.
So, things like that happen, and it's like, it's not a big deal. It's actually, I don't care that Kurt Cobain played it. I care that Scott played it.
Right.
I mean, that's the Guns guitar.
Right.
And if anybody out here is listening to this, look up the Guns and listen to their shit, and you'll realize that their shit is what everyone else ripped off back then.
Right.
Like, these guys were ahead of their times. They were just, and then, False Hope came right after that. Right. If you haven't heard of False Hope and you're from Cleveland and you think you're into music and you haven't heard of the Guns, you're not into music. You don't know what you're talking about, and get a grip and try to do some learning.
Right.
Of your hometown city band.
So you have a lot of
AIDS
and
Wang Chung bootlegs.
Like and a lot of stuff from a lot of memorable collectibles.
Doing music industry stuff my whole life, I obviously met
What are
people.
some notable ones, man?
I have a guitar signed by Jimi Hendrix's father, Al.
Wow.
That's probably the coolest thing.
That's pretty cool.
I've got one of Joe Walsh's guitars that John Hill made, which is cool. John owed me a whole bunch of money, and he decided to be like, this is Joe Walsh's. And I was like, yeah, dude, it's mine now. And he's like, I guess. So the other coolest thing I would say was the Devo guitar signed by all the guys in Devo.
Okay.
That's cool. I mean, obviously guitar picks. I mean, I've always liked guitar picks. Who doesn't? But I've got guitar picks that are just, I've sold guitar picks for over $100 for one. And I have like 20 of them.
Nice.
But that's an interesting thing about the music industry. It's like ego. The people who are the coolest people in the music industry that I know are the people that don't have an ego. it's a strange thing because
you're there. I would say like the people like yourself.
Listen, you're gonna have to tell your buddy to turn it on the TV over there.
I don't think anyone can hear that, but here, Salo.
All right, to never having somebody steal your toenails while you're sleeping.
Okay, yeah.
I fucking hate that.
No, that's the worst. Yeah. Actually,
happened to me twice once.
No, because the fairy can't get them. No, but
one of the greatest things anybody ever told me in the music industry, and I've heard some good ones. One, Tommy Lee once I was like, what's the coolest thing you've ever seen? And he goes, Rob, I was there. I watched Ozzy Osbourne snort like a 15-inch line of red ants in his nose. I was like, come on. And he was like, dude, I was there. I watched it. And after that, I was like, fuck it. He's totally awesome. He's actually one of the nicest guys ever. Tommy Lee is straight up like, I gave him a whole bunch of stickers once, and he was like, I'm going to put this all over my guitar. And I was like, guitar? I thought you played drums. He's like, not in my new band. Because he was in Methods of Mayhem, and Derek Hess, a local Cleveland artist who's amazing, did all the artwork for the album, for the Method of Mayhem album.
Oh, I did not know that.
Right. So, like, there's so many. Cleveland literally is the most connected city. I don't know why, but it is. And there's always going to be something you see in the media that's making fun of Cleveland. And it's because Cleveland people are involved.
Right.
They're like, let's make fun of Cleveland.
Yeah.
It's like a weird Seinfeld thing.
Yeah.
No, it's a make fun of Cleveland thing.
Sure.
But, the mistake on the lake and all that stuff. Like, I have people that come here from L.A., and they're like, 4 beers and 4 shots. And they're like, $17.50. And they're like, no, 4. And they're like, that's what it is. And they're like, I don't understand. Like, in L.A., 4 beers and 4 shots is like $120. So they come to Cleveland, and they're like, no, I got drunk on like $7 last night.
Right.
Like, they're like dollar beers.
Yeah.
Like, you can't find a place in LA that has dollar beers.
I've spent my life in Cleveland, and then I worked for an airline where I traveled around, and I got to see everything. And I was like, man, it's pretty fucking cool because we have everything here.
Right. We have homeless people. It's cheaper for homeless people here.
Right.
Well,
the climate's not as good, but
I don't know. Today was pretty nice.
Today was. I don't know how January 15th was, though.
I like snow. I'm a skier.
Are you?
Yeah.
You like that?
I like snow. I like cold. I want to be frozen and in ice and sent into space when I die. I either want to be vaporized from a space laser. That's one of my dreams. Like, how do you want to die? Like, I want to be vaporized by a space laser. Like, if you had that choice, wouldn't you like hit by a bus or a train, or a shotgun blast?
Dude, I always thought, like, I think we're getting close to it now with, like, the whole World War III thing. It's like, if you can see the end of the world, well, how many people have lived and died and not
There are more people dead that have died than are alive.
But if you could actually see the end of the world, I think that's pretty cool.
But that's also a little bit pretentious, like thinking that you're going to be around and lucky enough to see the end of the world. Like, I'm so self-important that the end of the world has to happen when I'm around. Because it hasn't happened in, billions of years? But, like, it's going to happen next week, I swear.
I want to go into...
Hold on real quick, though. I just got my medical alert bracelet.
Oh, yeah? What's that? Do you have are you having a heart attack? Or
no, it's in case something happens or... if I get, I have to be life flighted or anything.
Okay.
Read what it says.
It says, just know me for, hang on. You know what? I've gotten to the age where I have to get some readers on. Just throw me in the trash.
Yes.
So that's...
So if I get hurt, they're going to be like, hey, we got to save this guy. He's funny. His medical alert bracelet says, just throw me in the trash.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to try to save you just a little bit more.
Oh,
right. A little bit more effort. Don't you think that's a good idea?
No, I think so. Maybe. So, all right, let's go into music. How do you express yourself? Like, what do you see music as to you? You know, because I know
it's a torture. It's a form of self-hate.
Yeah.
I've been doing this stuff for so long. It's
not therapeutic at all.
It is therapeutic.
Okay.
But it's like a meditation.
Okay.
But my form of writing, and I talk to so many people about how they write. Everyone writes differently.
Yeah.
And being someone who owned a recording studio for 18 years, I have produced so much stuff that I kind of know what I'm doing. And I've also worked on other people's projects and other studios, you know. The thing is that everyone has a different way of doing things, and it's to get to a specific end result. There are some methodologies of production that I'm like, I don't like that. I'm a little bit more organic. Like, I don't like click tracks. Some people are like, you're an idiot because you don't like click tracks. But I like the natural way that music evolves through its own process of being created.
Right.
And I think there's something to be said about that. Like, I'm more a magnetic 2-inch tape guy than a digital guy. And at this stage of the game, you kind of want a little bit of both. And there are companies like Empirical Labs that make a thing called the Fatso, the EL7, which is a analog tape simulator that adds third and fourth party harmonics to a mix or to a specific track. If that's what you're looking for, but it's getting gray. But the last record, we mixed it at the mix room in Burbank, California. The people that worked on it were like, Lady Gaga's in the next room. And I was like, I'm going to go say hi to Lady Gaga. And they're like, you're definitely not going anywhere near Lady Gaga, Rob. Please don't ruin our lives. I was like, what? Me and Lady Gaga, we'll totally hit it off. And they're like, please.
Probably would.
Of course.
Yeah.
And actually, her makeup artist, Sarah, is from Cleveland and is a friend of mine.
Oh, okay.
And she just married this guy, Tim Stewart, who is a phenomenal guitar player and totally rad. I get to see them once in a while out on the West Coast.
Nice.
At conventions and stuff. I'm like, hey. But it's just so weird how small of a world it is. And, and I want to get back to what I said, what I was talking about before with what a tech told me once. He goes, I'm going to tell you, I go, tell me the coolest thing you could ever tell me. And this is like one of the biggest, most famous techs in the entire world. He goes, treat people on the way up like how you want to be treated on the way down. And I was like, that makes total sense. Don't be a dick to people.
Right.
When you try to pull that ego rock star card, fuck that shit.
Was that difficult for you?
No, I don't have an ego. I got rid of my ego when I was 12.
But I meant being a dick.
Well, you are what you eat. So it's like a weird thing, you're like, oh, like eat a dick, like eat a bag of dicks, buddy. Like eat a whole bag of dicks, buddy. But no, it's one of those things where that's one of the reasons why I have the wealth of friendships that I have.
Yeah. Is
because I treat people with kindness and respect, and I do good things for people, and I don't ask for anything in return.
Right.
People are like, oh, and people, the cool people remember that, and when you ingratiate yourself with people on that level, they remember that, and then they come to town and they're like calling me. Right. Hey, do you want to hang out with the Red Hot Chili Peppers or whoever, XYZ band? Sure. Rick Springfield's coming to town. He said he doesn't like you, but you still want to hang out with him. Like, all right, I guess Rick Springfield. He owes me some backstage passes, by the way. So Rick,
really?
So Rick, get on point, bro. Don't you remember our conversation at NAMM? But that's the thing is that and I'm not going to say any names, but one of the greatest stories I've ever heard is when my buddy told me about Yngwie Malmsteen not treating people the right way, and they had all bought a hooker and jizzed in her mouth and then sent her over to make out with him and fool around with him. And I was like, that's totally disturbing. And they were like, don't be a jerk to people because you never know what they can do.
Yeah.
And people can do some pretty gnarly shit. I mean, I've heard stories that there's things that I know that I would never repeat on this pod cyst or growth, whatever it is, pod growth. But that's the thing is that if you treat people the right way, they're going to treat you the right way normally. I mean, I've had some instances, like I'm not going to mention anybody's name, but there's one tour manager in general, and I'm not going to say even what band he works with. He just didn't like me because when I was around, he lost control of his environment. And I ended up losing some friends over it because he ended up doing some really messed up stuff. He ended up throwing a parking cone through my Audi window.
How does that happen?
Well, I told him to eat a salad.
No, I mean, but like the cone, it doesn't seem like it would go through the window.
The heavy-based cones that they use for industrial settings.
Oh, like the barrels or
no? It was a cone. They're heavy-weighted.
Are they?
They're heavy. He swung it like a baseball bat, and it just blew up my whole back window of my entire Audi. I was like, and then he tried to have the security guy beat me up.
Was it a TT? Or no, I don't know.
No, it was a station wagon, like like a soccer mom car,
like an Audi station wagon.
Listen, here's the best car I ever had.
Okay.
I had a Chevy Lumina tinted window minivan.
Okay. That
I bought off of my friend Mark Konopka, who's the drummer for Nutsack, and my buddy Eric Freeman, who's like a local Cleveland artist who makes like dead babies and stuff, he like weird, morbid things. He was like, I got to make you a mattress covered in like bloody handprints and like dirt and ropes and stuff. And I was like, make it, bro. And I put this thing in the back of my car, and straight up, I went on a date, and I was like, whatever you do, don't look in the back. I've never seen somebody get out of my car so quick. I was like, it's not real. Yeah. Don't ever do that.
No.
Let alone getting pulled over and having that in the back of your car and forgetting that's in there, and the cop's like, get out of the car right now. Unfun.
Right.
So I ended up jumping it over the railroad tracks over by South Marginal and East 55th. I was like, I'm going to jump it over these tracks. And I jumped this Chevy Lumina minivan over the tracks, and it snapped in half. It was like in the middle and just slid over the side of the road. I cut off the catalytic converter, got $150 for it, and just left it there.
Wow.
Took the plates off. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. What?
That's crazy.
But that's the problem, is that those are the types of things that I do when I'm bored.
Right. So I kind of want to get into this whole music thing because, you know, how I got into music was it's like an expression, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But coming to find out, like, how does it, like, fit in with, like, what do you feel about, like, a collective conscious? Like what is?
Well, that's what music is, and that's why I have a loose structure of understanding of how to do nutsack projects. The last record took way too long to finish, but I was going through a lot of crazy shit, and I have ADHD, so I'm all over the place. Like I'm like nailing a board in over here, taking a cardboard box and putting it over there. Before I got here, I captured a groundhog and released it in the wild. I mean, I can't kill groundhogs. Like people are like, you got to kill them. I was like, they're so cute, and Caddyshack is one of my favorite movies. I can't, I hate them, but I can't kill them.
Yeah, you were saying right before you came over here, you had to catch one and then release one far enough away from your house
that it won't come back and maybe get hit by a car.
I don't kill spiders or ants or anything in my house, so.
Back to being vaporized from space.
Okay.
There should be a machine that you have to go through a certain amount of protocol to just walk in and vaporize yourself. Like instant vaporization, like death machine. People, because instead of committing suicide and getting a whole bunch of people upset, Gary's going to vaporize today. Like watch Gary vaporize live on Vaporize TV or whatever.
Right.
That would be huge. Like public executions were huge back in the day. If we brought that back, I think crime would go down.
You don't think people like the whole mass shooting thing? You don't think that would be happening?
Not if you start shooting random people who have guns.
Yeah,
it should be part of the thing. Like you were chosen to be shot today. Like oh man, I love guns.
It should be on record that you have a gun and you're open target.
That's kind of Purge style. Why don't they make the movie Purge with just strippers and strip clubs?
Like if you buy a gun, now everyone has a chance to just shoot you.
Isn't that what it is already? You basically just said what guns are.
Yeah, right.
Wow, you just blew my mind with actually the dumbest thing that's the smartest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, if you get a gun, you can shoot somebody.
No, I'm saying if you get a gun, you are now on a list that you're open target. You can.
But that's what it is.
Yeah, right.
You just said it again.
Yeah.
Wow, we're gonna have to work on your.
I know. I'm not nuanced enough, I think, you know.
No,
seriously, I'm not. I'm very sad right now.
You're going to be okay. We're going to get you a gun. You'll be fine.
I have two.
Really?
Yeah.
I had an assault rifle and I got rid of it because I was like, it just looks so cool to have.
You had an assault rifle?
I had a sweet one.
AR? Or
I had an AM-15.
I don't know what that means.
There's a company called Anderson Manufacturing, and they manufacture a gun that is a metal composite. Okay. You don't wash it with oil. You don't clean it with oil. You clean it with soap and water.
Okay.
And it can shoot a couple thousand rounds before you even have to clean it. But I had it. I thought it was cool just because, I want to have 50 cal above my bed. Who doesn't?
Right.
Like, girls are like, oh, my God, is that a 50 cal? And you're like, totally.
I know, because all chicks know what a 50 cal is.
They don't?
I'm saying they do. Are you?
Well, they know what 50 calories is because, that's their thing. But women know about things. Don't make fun of women. It's not funny that you can't laugh at girls, dude. They're in charge, not us.
I'm sorry.
Don't say sorry to me. Say sorry to them.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. But there are girls that know about guns. That scares me too much.
Okay.
Nobody wants their girlfriend to know more about guns than you know.
Right.
I'll blow your head off right now if you look at that girl.
Right.
And you're like, I'm sorry. But I think we should get back to the music thing. So one of my musical philosophies, which I've been blessed enough to be a part of, is being able to work with the people I work with.
Right.
Having people who moonlight in the nutsack who are from bands like Keel Hall, Integrity, In Cold Blood, Outface, these are my people, and those are my friends. False Hope. These are the people that I want to work with because they're my friends.
Right.
Like, people that are being in a band with people that you don't want to hang out with. That's not being in a band to me.
Right.
People can do it if that's what you want to do, and you just want to sing your songs and play your songs and make your money. That's great. But I want to make music that is with people who care about music and they care about product, and they want to do something that's above and beyond what everybody else is doing.
Right.
And that's kind of why I do what I do, because you can't. People are like, "What do you sound like?" And I'm like, the weirdest thing that I've gotten more than anything, people are like, "You sound like the Moody Blues." And I'm like, what? And I love the Moody Blues.
I was going to say, I could kind of see that because I've listened to it quite a. You got some.
I don't see it personally, but I love the Moody Blues. In Search of the Lost Chord is one of the greatest records of that time period.
See,
but I don't see that as an influence because I grew up more. My dad was a very strange, eclectic music collector, an audiophile person.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, he would teach me how to do backward masking with the Beatles stuff. We would take Beatles records and flip the tape. He would have it on tape, on a reel-to-reel. We'd flip it. And that's kind of how I got into producing is that technical aspect of, the Beatles' Turn Me On Dead Man. If you play it backwards, it says Turn Me On Dead Man.
Right.
And that mystical aspect of it that is kind of like folklore made me want to create my own folklore.
Right.
And that's why one of the greatest things that we ever did, which is kind of a play off of the devil's greatest trick, is making mankind believe that he wasn't real.
Sure.
We kind of played off of that when we first started, and we were like, hey, tell everyone it's not real. So, that going through time, going through 20, almost 30 years of doing that, I have people like, it's not real. And I'm like, listen, dude, it's real. I had a guy, I was at the time, I was at Funhouse, but at the time it was called Spitfire. And this guy was sitting next to me, and there was a sticker on like the tip jar, and the guy was like, "See that sticker?" And he had no idea who I was, and I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "What?" I was like, "That one. Which one? That one right there with the dude's face?" And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "I hate that sticker." And I go, "Why do you hate that sticker?" He's like, "Because I met that guy, and I hate him. He's a fucking weirdo." And I was like, wait a second. I was like, you know what? I think I met that guy too. I hate him too. And I spent like 2.5 hours buying this guy drinks. And at the end of the night, I was like, dude, I got to tell you something. And he's like, what? I was like, I'm that guy. And he's like, what guy? I go, the guy, like, that's my sticker. I'm the guy, I'm the lead singer of that band. And he was like, we're all the lead singer of that band, man. I know what you mean. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, no, dude, for real. And he's like, I know, for real. We're all the singer of that band. Like, I get it. And he's like, I still hate the guy. I go, I'm the guy.
So it's like a movement.
He's like, we're all that guy.
Right. It's like Fight Club.
It was weirder than that because it didn't exist.
Right.
Fight Club existed. So
you mean your thing didn't exist?
No, it's always existed, but we just told people it wasn't real. And so people would be confused.
Right.
So they're like, oh, who's playing right now? Like, oh, 100,000 Leagues Under My Nutsack. I thought they weren't real. Well, they're not real, but they're playing right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, they're like, I don't understand. And then we're kicking out jams that people are like, this is fucking good.
Yeah.
And then they're getting upset because they're like, where can I see this? And like, you can't see it anywhere except right here, right now. It's like a moment of esoteric magic occurring in real time. And you're witnessing it.
Right.
Just like right now.
That's awesome, dude.
Vincent.
So.
All right, should we do another one of these?
All right, we're going to do one more. And then we're going to
drunk history. News at 11.
We're going to get into the last part.
Where you were doing gay porn.
I mean, I was a little insecure about my penis size.
Who isn't?
But I know.
Do you think guys with really big dicks are like, it's not really big enough? Or are they like, it's totally big?
Yeah, I don't know.
Even I bet you guys.
All I know is from what I know from girls that tell me it's just the right size. So I don't know.
DJ just the right size.
Yeah,
genius. They used to call me DJ Acorn Boner back in the day.
Yeah,
but it was more like a pancake. It was like 6 inches wide, but only like a half inch long.
Yeah, no, I'm the perfect size.
Wow, isn't that
according to all the girls I've been?
Isn't that a song by Nine Inch Nails? The perfect size, the perfect size.
Salute. So let's get into that. So you have a book
of matches.
I thought you wrote a book.
I tried to write a book.
Yeah.
And I wrote like 7 or 8 chapters about like, you know, because people are always like, you got to write a book. And I'm like,
you should write a book.
Yeah, but why? Nobody's going to believe it anyhow. Like, like all of a sudden, like, hey, I want to get the book from the guy who's a weirdo. Like, nobody wants a book.
No. You got people that are interested, like people like me. I got to make like a podcast just to get a bunch of people on here so I can get you on here.
Yeah, but I'm not a real person though. I'm like a figment of my own self.
Yeah, if you would have just wrote a book, I wouldn't have to sit here and talk to you.
Maybe I should write a pamphlet first. Like, you should write a book. Well, hold on. I'm working on a pamphlet. You know, because a book is like a big like sacrifice. Like, great, now I got to read this guy's book. Like, I've got friends who are like, Rob, I'm going to sign a book and give it to you. And I'm like, sweet. They're like, hey, did you read my book? I'm like, totally. It's great. I didn't read it. It's like when people give you a CD. Like, you got to check out my music. And you're like, totally, dude, I can't wait to check it out.
I'll tell you what. If you would have wrote a book, if it would have been, you would have had because you have a book. But if it would have been published, I would have probably read it.
Why?
Because the same reason I have you right here sitting with me.
Yeah, but this is special.
It's a whole grinder moment, too. You know what I mean? I
almost got my ass kicked for there's a people on an actual Tinder date, and I was like, "Where'd you guys meet? Grinder?" And she was like, "I'm not a man," and I was like, well, "Yeah, right." And like the guy was like so pissed. He was like, "Whatever, buddy." Like he was like he's trying to fight me. I was like, "I'm sorry." I was like, "Listen, I'm joking. I hope I didn't try to upset you guys. I was trying to be funny." And obviously you're not taking the way. Let me get you guys some drinks. And they're like, oh, we don't even want your drinks, grinder boy. And I was like, the guy was like, come outside. And I was like, just give me a break.
So, all right. So you might not have a new, but you have a new record. And during the whole pandemic thing,
my record came out right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about luck.
Okay.
Luck is not something that I have. I spent 7 years making this record.
I would argue, but
I know. I spent 7 years making this record. I paid for it myself. I don't make crazy money. I barely get by, and somehow I pulled off a $120,000 record over 7 years.
Wow.
And, mixing at the mix room, they were like, I was like, I want to, and I know the guy that owns it. He's a buddy of mine. I love him to death. His name's Ben Gross. He's a genius. He has more platinum records than most normal human beings that exist on the planet. Go to his website, The Mix Room, Burbank, California. Look at his clients. You'll see how big this guy is. So I call him up. I'm like, hey, Ben, I want to mix my record at The Mix Room. He's like, Rob, that's hilarious. He's like, how much money do you have? I was like, $10. He was like, that's not going to work. I go, well, how much is it there? He's like, $3,500. I go, $3,500 a week. I can't afford that. He goes, Rob, it's $3,500 a day for one room. And I literally was like, I was like, well, he's like, listen, he's like, let's figure out how I can help you. Because, he was gracious enough to be like, I'll help you out, but, I'm still paying like real money.
Right.
So I maxed out like 3 credit cards. I was like, fuck it. I got to make this record like shine. So we mixed it there, and then I had it mastered by a guy named Mayor Applebaum, who is one of the raddest dudes ever. And people that I know in the industry, they're like, who's mastering your record? I was like, Mayor Applebaum. They're like, love Mayor. Like, because these people find out who these people are because they're the people. So you find out, and like they gave me a choice of like 3 guys, and I did research on all the guys, and I was like, I kind of want this guy to do it because of just who he is and what he's about, and it's like it wasn't even about like who he's worked with, but I went through many samples of things that he's worked on, and I was like, oh, I really like that song, and I like that group, and he did that, and he gave me a good deal also. And I was like, hey man, I just want you to know, like, I'm paying for all this out of my own pocket. Like, major labels aren't like, I had one major label chance in my whole life. I was hanging out with Howie Klein, the CEO, president of Warner Brothers Records. And I was like, I need a 4-record deal, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you're serious, aren't you? I go, yeah. I go, give me some advice for being out here in LA. He's like, advice? I go, how to make it in LA? He goes, all right. He's like, do you suck dick? And I go, no. And he goes, do you have people that suck dick for you? I go, no. He's like, you'll never make it in Hollywood. He just walked away. I was like, what just happened?
It's all about sucking dick.
In L.A.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have people, like, I was like, I never even thought about that. Like, I got to get people to start sucking dick for me with other people's mouths. When you're sucking someone's dick with somebody else's mouth.
Right.
And that's when I started yelling that out to my friends, like, I want to suck your dick. And people were like, oh, my God. I was like, well, somebody else's mouth. Like, because, you don't want to do it with your mouth because then it's weird.
Right.
It's that could be a Louis C.K. bit, I think.
Oh, wow.
But, dude, I went to see Louis C.K. at the Agora. There was an overlapper in front of us.
I think dude got a raw deal there. He specifically asked girls, hey, you want to watch me masturbate?
Right.
They said yes.
If you can get a boner in that situation without taking Viagra, like, I can't just be like, if a girl is like, get a boner right now, and I'm just going to stand here and look at you, I'd be like, I guess I could try. Like, when you're being put on the spot, but he's that confident. That's what makes it so beautiful, that he's confident enough to be like, I can get a boner in this setting. That's what makes it even better.
Well, he should thrives.
But he should have gotten an award for that. You shouldn't get in trouble for. First of all, who doesn't masturbate? Like, people. Would you trust somebody that's like, oh, I don't masturbate? I wouldn't trust them.
Not at all.
Like, you know who doesn't masturbate? Mitch McConnell. how many times? But think about it this way: how many times have you looked at Mitch McConnell and you masturbated?
Probably about 3 times
a week. Because you know it's true. It's real life, and that's what dreams are made of. Are those times when you get to the point in a podcast where you're like, how did Mitch McConnell and masturbation even get in the same sentence? But I want to get back to the music thing real quick.
Okay.
So one of my philosophies when I was working with Dr. Max Arborezium and Dr. Sandor Nimbus, their methodologies in understanding the chaos and disorder and entropy in terms of music production led me to have my own philosophical musical understanding. So the esotericism involved in the ethos of music and bringing that ethos down to a recorded form is something that I started working on way back in the day, and it's kind of like an experiment. You know, you experiment with these people, and you see what happens, and then you take what has happened and you produce it and make it something unique and special that is of itself and that is unique to its own form. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right. So I'm kind of like a specialist in that field of sonic exploration and frequency manipulation. And it's kind of hard to explain to people in a way that's simplistic because of the depth of nature of the meaning of what I'm doing and the purpose of what I'm doing to facilitate these songs or products or whatever you want to call them being made and coming to a point of where they're done. And then people are like, that's amazing. Like My New Killing Machine. Have you ever heard the song My New Killing Machine?
By
100,000 Leagues Under My Nutsack.
Absolutely.
It was recorded with, I wrote the song, and then I recorded it with the two guys from Red Giant, Damian Perry and Alex.
A great band.
One of my favorite bands. The first time I met those guys, they were on acid, and me and Mark Konopka were messing with them, and they were getting upset. Like, dude, who are you guys? We were at the Pieta at Funchars. Tim Funchar had a place. It was like at 41st and Lorraine. And it was the night that the Duvalby brothers smashed a TV on stage. Rocky Brockway from Craw got arrested. The police raided the whole place. And then Nils Teague from Filter and Eric Dettelbach from the Funky Meta G's wrote a song called The Raid. And it was actually like, if you heard this song, it's the kind of song that gets you signed to a major label.
Right.
But they fumbled it, and they kind of like didn't know what they were doing and didn't do things the right way, and they fucked it up. But, shit happens.
So let me ask you a couple questions here.
Not on camera. Not on camera, bro.
You're not on camera.
Think about all the things we do not on camera. Remember that time we did that thing that was not on camera together?
I'm kind of curious.
Grindr?
No, because I guess you have some new stuff coming out. You have a new record.
Well, the new record that came out right before the pandemic. First of all, let me tell you something about having a record come out right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Not good.
No.
When you're like, all right, I got this record done, and then the whole world shuts down.
Right.
You basically have everything shut down. So I sacrificed 7 years of my life to get this thing done. And I'm winning because I have 54 followers on Spotify.
54?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm thinking that someday I'm going to get to 57 and maybe even 59.
Whoa. Dude, do you think you'd ever get to 60?
If I can get to 69, that's all I care about. It'll be like the highlight of my life.
Right.
That I made it past 13 is actually kind of special to me. When I hit 13, I was like, 13 followers. But I don't think the music's for everyone. What we do, the new album, Nutsack Religious, it's on Spotify, iTunes, plug, and all of our cool merch. And if you have every single time someone gets a shirt, they can't just get one. It's like literally people are like, I bought 6 shirts. indiemerch.com /nutsack.
But where do we get those sweet ass fucking stickers?
You can't get them.
No?
It's not how it works.
Okay.
People want the stickers so much that, like, I was at Now That's Class, and there was a huge sticker in the bathroom.
So I'm a unique person here.
Oh, that's a $10 sticker right there, bro. All day long.
Yeah.
You can get. I've had girls be like, "I'll totally suck your friend's dick for a sticker," and I was like, "What about mine?" And they're like, "Oh no, not you. About your friend who's like not saying anything weird, him." And I was like, "Nah, that's good enough for me."
Right.
I mean, you gotta help your friends out. When you can.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I've got a lot of friends that need help.
Nice.
But so the songs are mostly serious. There's one wacky song, which is called "My Balls Are in Your Girlfriend's Mouth." It's like if ELO, and Ween and Simon and Garfunkel decided that they wanted Slayer to produce a song for them.
I was listening to that earlier today, that same exact song you're talking about, and I was like, man, it really is. It's a special song.
But it's just not for the masses.
No.
I mean, the lyrics alone, like people were like, when we were doing this song live, people were like, we got kicked out. We were playing at Whiskey Island, opening up for Colin DeSalt. It was just Sam and I, the bass player and myself. And I was like, he's like, I don't think we should do it, man. There's like 3,000 people here. I was like, we have to do it. And the guy that was putting on, I want to say Galubik, he was like the guy in charge of all the music and everything at Whiskey Island at the time. John Galubik, I think that's his name. He was not. I was like going into it. We were doing the song, and people were getting upset, and people were cracking up. People were like, this is not really happening." And then straight up, he was on the side of the stage, like, "Cut it! No, stop doing it! Cut! Like, like turn it off! Everyone." The police showed up, and a fire truck showed up, and this hillbilly guy was like, "That guy right there," and they're like, "What did he do?" And he's like, "He sang a weird song." And then the cops were like, "He sang a weird song," and he was like, "Yeah." And they tried to arrest me. They're like, "Where?" They're like, "I don't think we can arrest you for playing a weird song." He was like, "Well, you should, man. It was about balls or something weird." And my kids were saying, like, "Dad, what are balls in your girlfriend's mouth?" And it got really hillbilly and weird. And I was like, "You should know. You're the hillbilly." And then the cops were like, "Hey, hold on." And the guy came at me. It was like kind of weird and creepy. But then there was a fire truck and police. You shouldn't be getting arrested for music.
Don't go into public if you don't want
to be in public.
Right. Yeah.
Have you ever met the public?
Right. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Hey, I'm not trying to bend to your fucking ideology. Let me be me.
Can I ask you one serious question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ridiculous is one thing, but don't you want to find out who invented redonkulous? Think about somebody out there was like, redonkulous. Who was the first person to say, like, is that something you can find out?
Well, I mean, it has to do with somebody that really liked somebody's butt.
I think is it badonkadonk related?
Yeah. I think so.
Do you think like that's a ridiculous butt? It's redonkulous.
It's redonkulous. Yeah, for sure.
That actually might be true.
Yeah.
But
I might be making that up, but I don't know though, because I've seen some redonkulous asses out there.
On Grindr? That's really weird, but it's cool.
I mean, I'm not judging. It's usually implants,
Butt implants. I never thought I would talk about butt implants or calf implants in public. But if you're getting to the point where you're like, I'm going to get a butt implant, maybe rethink your priorities.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You could
calf implants, pec implants.
I mean, you could, I think a butt implant works because maybe you're sick of sitting on park benches and it hurts,
That could be true.
But
you can't. You just wear special underwear.
Maybe you can wear some Depends, but nobody wants to talk about that.
Hold on. Next time we wear Depends and we do this. That should be, first of all, that should be the whole time here with everyone that comes in here. What did you guys do?
Because we don't.
Did you wear Depends? Did you wear Depends? I wore Depends. He said everyone wears Depends. No, that was just you.
Well, because it would make it easy. We wouldn't have to take a pee break.
Hold on. I'm taking a pee break right now. And I'm not wearing Depends.
We put Depends on. No. Oh, he did not.
The weirdest thing, can I say one thing that's weird?
One thing?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
So, obviously Mother's Day, I was hanging out with my mom and at my sister's house in Solon with her husband and her husband's mom. And we were talking about old age homes. And I was like, my buddy works in an old age home. Because my mom used to work at the Montefiore home, which is for old Jewish people that have Alzheimer's. And I was talking to my buddy. I was like, it must be boring working at an old age home. He's like, do you know what I do? And I go, no, what do you do? He goes, I have to get old men with boners back into their room all night long. I go, that's not a real thing that happens. I was like, what, like once a month? He goes, try it 20 times a night. And I was like, he's like, Rob, I've been hit in the face with a giant, huge boner. And I was like, come on, that's not a real thing.
How do we get that job?
You don't want that job. I mean, you do. But, like normal people that are not on Grindr want to have normal jobs. Right. But whatever you're into, that's for you.
Sure.
But like when I thought about this in real life and I thought about how much he gets paid, I was like, so your job is like I go, how do these guys get it? They're like, Rob, it's an old age home. They all have money and they all get Viagra and then try to go bang everybody all night long at the same time.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, there needs to be a documentary about that.
Yeah. Somebody out there do that. Somebody do that.
somebody somewhere, documentary about boners at old age homes. Bam. HBO, $5 million, if not 10. All night long.
And so I think we're going to have to wrap this up soon.
Listen, we'll do a round 2 and cover things that we didn't cover.
We're going to have to, dude, because...
We'll make it better next time, not stupid.
No, but so you do have a new album.
Yes, it's called Nutsack Religious. And
right.
There's a couple physical copies. It's downloadable. You can get it for free, obviously.
Spotify,
iTunes, blah, blah, blah. I think it's like a nickel a song or whatever it is nowadays. That's all the artists are worth.
Right.
Now that people don't sell records, you can't make money. So you have to make money with merch and ancillary products.
Right.
VIP I should do VIP meet and greets.
I mean, I had to pay like $5,000 for this interview.
Wow. You got ripped off by my manager. He told me I was getting $50 and a couple shots and a beer.
Well,
and a Snickers
this is what
bar.
It takes, guys. This is what it takes, guys. This is the price.
But the price of doing this really is that somebody has to go through this entire process of listening to all this. It scares me. Like that I have to if I even can make through watching this myself,
right?
Which I'm going to do because this is my first podcast I've ever done. I want to see if I can watch me watching myself be me, knowing how I'm not funny and entertaining.
Well, I think half of what you just said was true because if anyone knows you. You're an interesting man to have a conversation
I've got an outgoing joke, though.
Okay,
this is a great joke.
Go ahead.
Can you see me over here?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Am I in frame?
I think so.
What is this?
Well, that looks like an owl.
No, this whole thing right here. The whole action.
Oh. I don't know.
Do I know what it is?
Yeah.
It's a small one of these.
Huh. Okay, I see it. Yeah. No. That's.
I've got one more.
Okay.
What's this?
The mic's in front of you.
What is this?
It looks like some kind of alligator fish.
No.
No?
Do you want to know what it is?
Yeah.
I don't know. But here it comes again. Always leave them wanting less.
I'm
Kids, sometimes a little birdie needs to be kicked out of the nest to learn how to fly. And sometimes a participant in sub-CLE needs to be kicked off of the microphone for so many reasons. But on the way out, what we're going to do is remember all the times we never shared and think about every time that we never met each other, how we remember to forget about all the people that we don't even know or what they've been through. And that's why it's sub-CLE. Sub-CLE, hee-hoo-ha, how are hee-haw, involved with you and me. Sub-CLE, it's not for free. You pay the price, you see, one day at a time, one person with a swine. We interview them all, everyone and every kind. And in the end it's true, very blue. We're all from the Clee, and we're here for you and me. Sub-CLE. It's time to go, don't you all know? It's the end of the show, there's no more left, it's all let's go. Far away, as far as we can be, and that's why I'll never back here to sub-CLE. Sub-CLE. Sub-CLE.
Well,
eat pussy to your jog breaks for Jesus, everybody.
No, thank you so very much. It was a pleasure to have you in my home, in my aura, in my essence.
It's always
everything.
A business. It's always a business doing pleasure with you, Vincent. Thank you once again. I just think about all the other podcasts that we never did together.
Right.
And I just think, every time that I haven't been on sub-CLE, I feel like I've been there vicariously through other people that have told me that I have to do this. They're like, Rob, if you don't do it, you're not cool. And I was like, I know I'm not cool already. And they're like, well, they're like, maybe you can make it where you're less cool by doing it. And when you get that kind of opportunity to be less cool for something, bam, take it and own it, Well,
I'll tell you what. I'm going to sit here, look in the camera, and say.
And masturbate again? We did that earlier, bro.
One of the most enjoyable
You better
times.
edit that out. You better edit that out, bro. Seriously. Whoa.
This is Rob Stevens. 100,000 leagues under my nutsack. You've seen the stickers. You know the guy. This is a Cleveland legend, and he's sitting here right now. He shared his stories right here on social media.
And I also tried to suck your dick with somebody else's mouth.
I mean, Grindr. Sub-CLE. We're out.